Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live on the Mid-South Wrestling Center podcast. I am your host, Cody Bowers, and today we have a very special guest in the studio. He is a very dear, close friend of mine. We've known each other for the 10 years I've been in the wrestling business. It's none other than Naughty by Nature's Pokerface. Let's bring him into the studio right now.
And the
Poke,
crowd goes wild.
what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Uh, doing my thing. Still
Hey,
working out.
I get you. Life is life, and ain't it?
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You know, I don't have when was have you ever been on a podcast?
It's been a couple. Before we start that, I gotta say, face to face, you congratulations. You got married. What month was it that you got married?
I believe July. July.
Okay, so I know that you got. I thought that you had got married after
Yeah.
my last show that you did for me. So I want to say, face to face, congratulations to you. And if your bride's watching this, congratulations to you as well.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, it was a we were going to make it a big thing, but then it was like, well, let's just do like her parents, my parents. We
Right,
all kind of just I got married actually in the Hall of Champions in Dyersburg. Greg actually married us. You know, he's
right,
an ordained
right.
minister, stuff like that.
Okay, that's
But
what's up. That's what's up.
yeah. It's a small little thing. We had a little reception after that weekend,
Mhm.
so it was really nice. It was really nice. Great to see the people that did show up, stuff like
Right.
that. But
Something small and intimate. That's cool. That's what's up.
oh yeah. It didn't cost me nothing, so
Right.
that's
Hey,
the best.
that's always good.
Oh yeah. Well, Pope, we got some topics. A lot of topics we got to get into today. So you want to start off?
Mm, 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 mm.
Let's
Roll my
oh yeah,
sleeves
gotta roll the sleeves up. But I guess first topic we can get into is the first two topics we can kind of combine together. I guess is like who what got you into professional wrestling and who trained you whenever it was your time?
well, with that, believe it or not, and a lot of people don't, think I'm joking when I say this. When I was a kid, I actually did not like wrestling. And my grandfather, so I'm from a small town in Arkansas, Osceola, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And so, I lived there, a couple years when I was younger, then pretty much most of my life raised here in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but whenever I was there, my grandparents' house on weekends, in Channel 5 wrestling would come on, studio wrestling. And so, you got to sit down, you got to shut up, and
Yeah.
don't walk in front of TV because you would get cussed out and yelled at. And I wanted
Oh
to
yeah.
watch cartoons, and like, they want to watch wrestling, and my cousin, he's the cousin right underneath me in age, and he was a big, wrestling fan, and I'm just like, I don't, I want to watch cartoons, I want to watch Bugs Bunny, Super Friends, whatever's on, I get, but then I can't just really pinpoint the exact thing, date, or event that really got me into it. But I guess you start hanging around people like that like a certain have a certain interest, and I guess you get kind of caught up in it, and so little by little it kind of starts snowballing. And I got hooked. And the first time I ever went to wrestling, my grandfather sometimes would go to the Mid South Coliseum on Monday nights,
Yeah.
and him and him his old buddy. So I'm hanging out, and this has gone
Mhm.
on even to now. I was hanging out with the older
Yeah.
guys, so I rode to Memphis with them, and sold out 11,000 people. I'm assuming it's so long ago. I get
Yeah.
and it's like, and I think that was probably, I guess, the defining moment. And then watching it every Saturday. Then I would catch maybe here and there some of the like the old NWA. I didn't see that much of WWF at the time. On the most I've ever seen of that was maybe a glimpse at Saturday Night Main Event, or I would see Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
Yeah.
So they do like the little vignettes in between. So
Yeah.
that was probably the most I ever seen of WWF at the time. And then as I got older, I was a huge fan of the Moondogs. So me and my classmates in between classes, we literally get these little, the little trash cans they have at the schools,
Yeah.
and we do like a fake whistle, like, and we get garbage cans and literally just like beat the tar each other over the head with it. Like we were like huge
Mm.
Moondog fans, and
Yeah.
then. And I was always like small. I mean, like, I was, big head, little body, and then I was like, man, this is, and I always like a challenge. whether it was like, a girl not liking me and I like them, so the thrill of the chase. And by
Yeah.
me being at disadvantage, for body type for wrestling, I'd always thought as a challenge, like that's something I would want to do. And I like, just the reaction, that I see, guys like the Rock and Roll Express or Jerry Lawler build on when they get into the ring. I'm like, you know what, I think I could do that, and I didn't have, other than Bill Dundee at the time, there wasn't like a lot of smaller guys. And Bill Dundee, he was small as far as height, but he was a little, fire plug. Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't have any like, smaller guys that was like an influence until like maybe as I started, getting close to getting trained, in a 1-2-3 Kid, Xbox, Sean Waltman. That was like for size wise, one of the guys that I watched, like, hey, if he can do it, maybe I can do it like that.
Yeah.
And so I remember one Monday night I went to the Mid-South Coliseum, and but sometimes they would advertise on, they didn't do it that often, but on Saturday morning sometimes they advertise about the USWA Wrestling School, Academy or whatnot. And so I went to the Coliseum one Monday night, and so I bought like a flyer, and they had, the USWA Wrestling Academy. They had all the contact info on the inside of it. So I end up calling. I end up talking to the late great Eddie Marlin, who is Jeff Jarrett's grandfather. Jerry
Yeah.
Jarrett, the late Jerry Jarrett, his father-in-law. So I talked to him. So I had like this 4-cylinder Ford Tempo that I had got, and I was flowing that little 4-cylinder, up to Nashville, and I didn't complete the train like I should have, which I don't advise that. I was just blessed that I didn't get seriously injured, not being trained, that continue, not completing my training, but I went up there, I had maybe like 4 lessons. And at the time, it was one trainer up there, everybody knows from in the Memphis area, Wolfie D.
Yeah.
He was one of the
Yep.
trainers. I don't exactly call him my trainer. He was up there once. And the other three, it was this other guy that I think he had trained. It was a black guy named Corey Williams. So he was like, would go around. I don't know if you remember him, or you might not even been around when he was around. And so he would take up the class when Whoop, because I think they had just lost a loser league town match, him and JC Ice, and so they end up going to Puerto Rico, and that's why
Yeah.
Corey Williams ended up taking over the class. Eddie Martin be sitting out there, in this, he'd be out in the seats and stuff, so
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
starstruck by that,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
then years later, I would, I just it was kind of like on the job training, which again, I don't recommend,
Mhm.
but I was blessed to, be in the ring with some, very experienced people, but I would say I would name Motley Cruz and Tasha Simone as years went on. They had a wrestling school here in Memphis. It was the old Union Planters Bank. And so it doubled as a boxing gym as well. So you had the
Okay.
boxing ring right here, and you had the wrestling ring right here. So you had boxers on one side and the wrestlers on the other side. And we all being a train. It was like literally like something out of a Rocky movie. It was,
Mm.
I mean, just bare bones, no indoor plumbing. They just had lights in there, and if you had to pee,
Mm.
we had a tree on the side of it, we call it trio wall. You go there and pee. If you had to do number two, then you had to go across the street to the McDonald's. And then if it was like this time of year, if it's 40 degrees outside, it's probably 20 degrees in the building.
Yeah.
Then in the summertime, if it's 80 degrees outside, it's 100 degrees in the building. So it
Yeah.
fluctuates, one way or the other, depending on what the season was. So that's pretty much, I know who, I would call trainers. Like I said, this USWA Wrestling Academy for lessons, and then Molly Cruz and Tasha Simone afterwards.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people in the Mid South area that can say that Motley Cruz had his hands in their training somehow in
Yeah,
some form.
exactly.
I'm kind of hoping that here one day, because I got all the way up to like episode 7.
Mm.
I believe episode 7 booked up right now, but I'm hoping one day that we can get Motley on here, tell the great stories he has.
Oh, he has a million of them.
Oh yeah, yep, yep. Well, you were talking about the Mid South Coliseum. It was kind of funny because my grandfather used to take my mother, my aunts, my uncles to the Mid South Coliseum watch wrestling. I actually just was going through my grandfather's old stuff, found an old ticket stub from the Mid South Coliseum for WCW Monday Night Nitro. They had come to Memphis in May, quite a few years, so I got that in my possession,
Right.
and I had never seen it. like I've been through his stuff multiple times before throughout the years, and like it's just out of the blue popped up. I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Right. Matter of fact, I went
Um,
to one of the nitros. This was '96. I had just not too long had a car wreck, and at that time probably had only like one match under my belt, and my car was wrecked, and I think I ended up taking like the city bus, and I went and I got like a ringside seat. And this show you how different, how the difference in prices. Now I wasn't like right front row. I was maybe like fourth or fifth, and I think I paid like $25 for that seat. And you $25 now, you be lucky you can get a nosebleed seat at a WWE event.
yeah. Yep. 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 Well, Poke. Usually, what I can do with this. This is a very long. People can comment, and then I
Hmm.
can, you know. So we have a question actually from one of our Pro Wrestling Mid South officials, Mr. Wesley Adams. I don't know if you're familiar with him yet or not, but
Hmm.
he's a very good referee. So
Okay.
if I know you got your Millington Mayhem thing and you choose your guys, but he's a very good official. I give him a 2 thumbs up if you ever need him.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, let's. This is a long one. First off, congratulations, Cody Byers. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah, I can.
I really enjoy watching it. My question is for Pokerface. I've heard great things about you as a professional wrestler during my brief time as an official, although we haven't shared a locker room yet. Would you consider reaching out to the Pro Wrestling Mid South Championship Committee to showcase your talents at the Herb Welch WrestlePlex?
Oh, well, to answer, that's a very good question. Um, see, Wesley, Wes in my old age now, the old gray Marion, which he used to be.
Oh, come
These
on
days,
now. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
these days, dude, I don't do that many events now. For its in ring. I mean, I'm still physically able, so don't
Yeah.
listen to me. But it's just like, my focus isn't that now, and I did it for so long. I just lost interest in, just doing that. I mean, anything. I'd never say, never. Like
Yeah.
somebody asked the other day, asked me, how much would I charge to come do a show, and I'm like, Luke, I said, brother, I do maybe 2 events a year, and one of them is mine. And
Yeah.
I actually do that reluctantly, but I got to still kind of be, you know, in your sight, in your mind for the events. But
Mhm.
like I said, but if it wasn't for I would love it. I would seriously, Cody, you already know this. I would
Yeah.
seriously love to be at my Milton Mayhem and just sit right next to you the whole time and co-pilot and do
Yeah.
nothing and just count the money. That's it. But
Trust me.
unfortunately, it don't work out
Yeah.
that way.
I know. I know. Freaking, like I said, like we were talking about earlier, I think I started doing audio for your Millington Mayhem. It's either Millington Mayhem 3 or 4.
Hmm.
So, been doing it a long time,
Right.
and I don't think I've ever seen you sit down more than 5 seconds
I don't watch the
during
show.
that.
I
Yeah.
don't watch the people. I'll listen to it. I'll listen to the
Yeah.
fans' reaction. For those who don't know, me and Cody, we usually sit like right behind the curtain. When
Mhm.
so everybody has to pass us coming in, going to the ring, and they got to pass us coming, back from the ring. And I try, but it's like, even not, and again, for those of you that don't know, I delegate responsibility to different people. So I have somebody in charge of the wrestlers. Cody, he'll be there,
Yeah.
running the music or like that. Then
Mhm.
I'll put him in on, certain things, or if we have any changes or something like that. But I seriously have not recall, since I've been doing this, and I've been doing this since 2014, recall ever watching any match in its entirety.
Mm.
I watch it enough because we had the camera looking. I watched it enough to get a feel of what if I like the match or not, and then I'll watch it to see what the crowd's reaction. I listen to see what the crowd's reaction is, but that's pretty much it. I can't sit there and and critique it, just off that, and I've been meaning to do, but I haven't done it yet. And I've been saying this again for 10 years. I have somebody that's recording it, you know, from start to finish, but it's like, yeah, I got enough bills I gotta pay. I really don't need that and stuff. So, but I, never know. I might do it this next show just to, have some footage,
Yeah.
because this is gonna be the last one, So how many
I
years have
think
I
I've
been
been
doing this?
hearing that
Man,
from you for the past. I think I've heard that from you since I started doing audio at Millington Mayhem.
Dude, I sit there. All right, so I remember this. This was Mayhem 5. So we were at the after party. We were in Millington at this bar used to be open called Cheers. So I was
Yeah.
ready to pull the plug on it. And Rule was like, man, you need to, at least get to, and like I said, this is like Mayhem 5. Like, you need to at least try to make it to Mayhem 10. I'm like, dude, that's 5 years away. I said, you need to say Mayhem 7, like that stuff. And honestly, I had no intention, even after the first one. I was like, let me do the first. Let me do, I had no plans post Mayhem as far as doing another. I'm like, for like years, even when before I even, start cutting my teeth good in the wrestling business, I always wanted to run my own show, and I was
Yeah.
like, I got to at least do one. And then after I did the first one, which almost put me in the hospital, just stressing out, and it's like, okay, I'm kind of, I was kind of like, I didn't know what was next. So then, what? So that was March of 2014. And so December, so that was 9 months later, I did Holiday Havoc. So I've
Yeah.
only done 2 wrestling shows once in a year. And it's like, and then that was bad timing on my part. And I was still learning the whole, how to advertise and promote things. So that was, at that time, that was my lowest attended show. Not,
Yeah.
aside from the comedy show that just happened, but
Mhm.
other than that, that was my lowest attendance as far as the rest.
Yeah.
The show was good, just the crowd wasn't there. Which you can have the best show in the world, but if ain't nobody there to see it, who knows?
Yeah. Well, for the people that don't know, I actually kind of took after you for a bit. I've known you for 10 years.
Right.
So whenever I started with Rashard is when I met you,
So wait,
doing
wait.
all.
So pause that for a second. So how did you end up making that happen? Now I'm interviewing you. I'm asking the question for a second. So
Okay.
how did you end up?
How did I get started with Rashard?
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't like I tell the people, there wasn't a time when I was not, I was like 3 years old. My
Right.
grandfather would sit me in front of the TV and he would watch WWE. Because, like I said, with the Mid South Coliseum thing, he would take my mom whenever they were little and my uncles and aunts whenever they were little to the Mid South Coliseum to watch wrestling. So he kind of got me into it. And, I think I was like 5 years old, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Word got around because I was born and raised in Ripley, Tennessee. Word got around that live professional wrestling was coming to Ripley. So we started going there every week. TLCW, EWE, all the companies that went there. And, finally, I started sitting RCW come around. I started sitting in the audience with that. And on my 16th birthday, May 6th of 2014, it just so happened that RCW had a show. It was Saturday night. I stayed after the show, talked to Rashard. First week, he wanted me to kind of sell discounted tickets. And I was like, after a week of doing that, I was like, I'm not really built for selling discounted tickets to people. Because, I don't know what it was about him. And I had that conversation with him for years. His price for the show was so outrageous. It was like $7 and some change. And it
What?
wasn't even like $7.25 or something. It was like $7 and some. I can't remember how much.
I swear this is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. The ticket prices for Rashard for RCW Pro Wrestling was $7 and 20 some odd cents or something like that. It's like so out there. And I kept telling him, I was like, not Poke, but Rashard. I was like, what's wrong with $5?
Right.
It's
Right.
Ripley.
Down to 7.
Yeah.
Now
I told him, I
I
said,
can
it's
see it
Ripley.
from getting people's attention to make them
Yeah.
conversation piece, but yeah, I don't know.
Who's going to carry pennies or dimes or anything like that in their pocket just to get into the show? But
Oh my goodness.
yeah. Well, then
Oh,
after I come back that next Saturday, and I was like, I don't really know if I can do this or not. So he's like, hey, can you hold a video camera? And I was like, yeah. I said, I can do that. He's like, I just want you to kind of follow the guys around with the video camera and stuff like that. And so I did that for a month or two. And I've always been a tech whiz, I guess you can say.
right.
And so he was like, he was having to run the locker room, do audio, and he was the backstage announcer. So I don't know if you remember that, but Rashard did all that.
Well,
Or so
no,
he claimed.
well, for the most part, one while, well, me and him both would tackle the music sometime. You
Yeah,
know, then I would, well, you know what I did back there. I was
yeah,
booking, and
yeah,
then then being on the show and stuff. But I do remember, but I think did you end up just taking over completely after I left? Because I was
yeah.
booking, then I left. Okay, so I think I remember. Okay,
We had
okay.
met each other once, I believe. Like it was
I was
like,
trying to stand office too, wasn't it? Like, hey, how you doing?
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it just took off from there. He had me do audio so he could,
Mm,
focus on the locker room, but then he was still doing announcing.
mm.
And he's like, "Hey, you want to take over announcing too?" And I was like, "Sure, I can do that." And so it was a 2-in-1 gig, and like I said, I've done it for 10 years now.
Right,
I still do it for Ripley. You know,
right,
not only do I do backstage announcing, I do audio, and I'm Ripley branch manager for there.
right. Wearing many hats.
Yeah, yeah. I tell everybody to call me the triple threat.
All right, there you go. There you go. But see, that's the thing is though, and me and you, we had talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to do that because I feel
Mhm.
this is, and I feel this is in any industry, not just wrestling, but I guess since we're talking about wrestling, it's
Yeah.
good to be able to do various jobs and wear different hats because that way you always have a job. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, because even me when I was, pulling back on the whole, in ring thing, I would be at shows and people want to book me. I'm like, look, brother, I don't want to do it. I said, I'll run the music. I said, don't feel obligated because Alan was doing a show, show here called MEW, and I would come and I would run the music, and Alan still would be booking. And I told him, I said, dude, don't ever feel obligated to book me because I don't want to do it. Use me as a last. I would have my bag. I said, use me as a
Yeah.
last option in case you really, 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 really need somebody. I said, other than that, I am fine. I'm not disrespect. I'm fine just sitting here, pressing
Mhm.
play, pressing pause, looking for the next track. I said, I'm okay
Yeah.
with it. And I would help with setup and tear down. And what you're doing, which again because if you might get an opportunity at another, maybe a bigger indie show, you never know, AEW or something like that, WWE, and now even though it's been on an independent level, nothing's gonna be foreign to you now. So okay, hey, I've done
Yeah.
this, I've done that. You might get a chance to be like a backstage producer or something because you're cutting your teeth.
Mhm.
This level is where you learn it. This is where you learn where
Yeah.
you make your mistakes. That's what the late Sid Business guy, Richard. So he told me, he said, down at this level, he said, nothing you do can hurt you. He said, this is where you make your mistakes. This is where you get your reps
Yeah.
in. So when you get a chance to
Mhm.
go to something, a little bit higher level, then for the most part, you know what you're doing. So you're not
Yeah.
sitting there scratching your head or get your finger in your butt or nothing like that.
Yeah. Now, it was always the dream to become a professional wrestler. But
Mm-hmm.
then, I had gotten a back injury whenever I was 14 because, I
Oh,
lived with my grandparents.
okay.
And I thought I was going to be smart. They always had to have one of those big old side by side refrigerators. Well, I thought I was going to be
With
able
the
to get
double
it onto the
doors.
dolly. Yeah,
Okay.
the French door style ones. I thought I was going to get it onto the dolly by myself. Where I went to go pull it, snap in my back. I was on the ground. So in the
Temper.
Ripley ER with a ER doctor trying to play chiropractor, and he just messed up my back completely. I have a couple slip discs, and
Mm.
sitting on a nerve, and that I've done had the doctor tell me they're like, yeah, if you ever like fall on your back wrong and that moves and cuts that nerve off, yeah, you're paralyzed from the waist down.
Whoa,
I
well,
go,
yeah.
yeah, I'm good where I'm at then.
Mm-mm.
Now I try to
No.
take bumps. I did 2 weeks of Pro Wrestling Mid South Academy training where I just took back bumps. My back was just screaming, just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was,
Yeah. No, I don't miss those days. But even
yeah.
if you were, you probably still feel that way. I probably still feel that way now because my body is not adjusted to doing it no more. So I mean, I can go like the day after Mayhem's, because normally I tried what I normally do, and like I just mentioned earlier, I said I at least do 2 matches a year. So normally, and I hadn't done this for like a month prior to Mayhem. I'll go somewhere and
Yeah.
like I did an Osceola one time, MCW, and I was like, well, hey, I called, y'all give me a match. Like that, and like, I don't ask for no money, nothing like that. I said, just, give me a match. So then that way I can kind of judge where I'm at physically, how's my cardio, do I need to work on it, and then so that's my warm up match. What I've done the last couple of years, I've actually just gotten somebody's ring, Mayhem, what's this one is 10. So Mayhem 9 lead up to it. I was wrestling for Bluff City wrestling. So I had, that
Yeah.
was the most match I had in a while. So I had already had my rep, so I knew where I was. 'Cause I think, and I remember this because I told the pal that beat Johnny beat with Johnny Dodson. I was
Yeah.
like, look, February 18th, I'm done. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I say, because I gotta, focus, because I do. Now you see the vignettes I do for Mayhem, so I
Yeah.
film on Saturdays, and I can't be tied up all, one day to somebody else's, business project. And then I didn't want to risk getting injured, and I'm an integral part of my show. Like I said, so I don't want to, I don't want to, break nothing, pull a ligament, anything like that. As I get older, I don't heal as fast. And I don't want to be that. So I just rather not, I got my matches in for the 6 months I was with them. So I don't need to do nothing else for the next 2 months. Again,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
agreed to it and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess the next time we can get on with the next topic. The Pokerface name origins. Where'd you come up with Pokerface?
okay, so this was a cartoon that came out. You weren't even born then, so I'm dating
Yeah.
myself. So it was a cartoon called Silverhawks,
Okay.
and you've heard of Thundercats, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Okay,
heard that. Yeah.
so the original Thundercats, the same company that made Thundercats made this a cartoon called Silverhawks. So they were partly
Okay.
metal, partly real, and that's actually in the theme song. And so they had a villain on there. So he was like a robot, and he had like his eyes were like the spinning dials of a slot machine,
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
was Pokerface. And for whatever
Okay.
reason, that name stuck. I was like, man, that'd be cool. And I was like, and I wasn't even wrestling then at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to, leading up to getting to wrestling. I was like, okay, I need a name. So I thought about I thought about the name Seven, which ironically, it's, Kevin Thorne ended up going by that, in OEW, but this is even before he even got in the business. I'm like, man, I said, well, what's something? I said, well, what do I want my character to be? And I always had a fascination. Well, I had a slight fascination for it as a kid, but as I got older, and like even like now, I have a real fascination for the mafia, La Costa Nostra.
Yeah.
Like that and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, what can be something that could, I always was thinking ahead, what can something be marketable? And I was like, okay, like a gangster character. And yeah, and stuff. Like, I think it was the Dick Tracy comics. They had somebody or like Babyface Nelson. Like I said, well, what about I'll go with Pokerface? I said, and then that guy wore a tuxedo and this and that and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where the name come from. And I only went by, and I want to say I did a show in Corinth. I don't even know why I even switched names that night. So I've always gone by that except for that one night. And then the OKW, uh, I had to talk with the powers to be there about switching my name, doing something different,
Yeah.
and to bring him up again. I was player Tyrone for one night, and so he's supposed to
Okay.
be basically kind of like a loose version of the Godfather. And I did it for like one TV tape and didn't like
Okay.
it, and I quit. And then Johnny Dotson ended up taking up that. He ended up becoming, which I don't even know if mine even aired. Like and stuff, but Johnny Dotson ended up taking up the player Tyrone character after I left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, the next topic, and for the people that can't see above us, it says "Naughty by Nature's Poker Face" below. Um, you, Rude, and Tully
Mhm.
created a group known as Naughty by Nature. Now, a lot of people will know Naughty by Nature, whether it be, you know, the music group Naughty
Right.
by Nature, or you guys in
Right.
wrestling. So is there a connection there? How did you guys come together? Just tell us how Naughty by Nature was created.
Well, to be historically correct and accurate, Rude and Tully came up with the name. So so they would get the
Okay.
T-shirts with the MNBN on there. And so I
Okay.
met them probably. I had just not too long started wrestling. I had met them, and I met them in OCO. I was wrestling, and they were coming in with the late primetime Tim White. If you're in,
Okay.
live in the
Yeah.
Milan area, whatever like that. And so he introduce him to Moondog, and they would come down there. And then when I left MCW, I started wrestling. I started wrestling at Country Nights for DCW. Then I had surgery on my wrist. Then I ended up going to WWF, and then I ran across
Yeah.
Rude again. I'm like, okay, and Tully was taking some time off. I don't know if it was his work or injury or a combination of both. And so I started hanging around them, and I started hanging around them, and we were doing all the same shows. We're doing Dyersburg, then I started wrestling in Gibson, and then we do shows, so we're starting to hang around each other all the time. Then I would, got to the point where I was spending the whole weekend in Humboldt. I come to,
Yeah.
at that time we are doing Dyersburg on Friday nights, and so sometimes I get to Friday night, I would come back to Memphis till Sunday.
Yeah.
So I spend one weekend I stayed at Tully's, next weekend I stayed at Rude's, or sometimes it might be then we switch to Saturday nights. I'm I would just spend the night, and then we do and I didn't start. See, this is what a bad influence my guys are. I guess I didn't start clubbing until I started hanging out with Rude. Like seriously,
No.
I didn't have stuck. But anyway, so we were NBN, so then and I know one time we were wrestling we were on our way to Chicago for a gig, and we had the old baseball jackets that made out of satin, did shine.
Yeah.
And so we had
Yeah.
a Naughty by Nature on the jacket. So it was a bunch of little teeny boppers there. I guess they were going on some kind of cheer competition, whatever. So they saw that, and they walked up. This is I'm not making this up. Like, are y'all with the rap group or something like that? So then I think that kind of started getting the ball rolling. And I was talking to Rude, and so I was like, we need to kind of, I guess kind of too late to change the Naughty by Nature part. I said, but we need to
Yeah.
kind of get our own identity. So you see, like at the bottom of the screen, y'all see NXN. That was my
Yeah.
idea to put the X in there. So X would be a symbol for bi, like 4x4, 2x4, like that.
Yeah.
But X is, a substitution for bi. So that's how the NXN came about.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. All right then. Yeah. You know, like you said, the naughty by nature. I figured where you were going with the story
Right.
of them. Them coming up to you. You guys with that rap group? And it was originally a surprise, but I want to go ahead.
Wait,
My
hold on. Let me
episode
let me let me
7.
let me let me elaborate on that too, for me joining the group. And so
Okay.
I thought we were doing all these shows together, hanging out. And so Rule was like, he get brought up to Tully and like, well, hey, what do you think about? Because it was always just them. It was always just
Yeah.
them, and I was pretty much a loner. I would do, when I
Mhm.
was, wrestling the brief time I was with KW, here and there, me and Buster Johnson would ride together. And then, when I was at MCW in Osceola, every now and then I would ride with, I rode with Ruthless Ron McClary. I love him to death. I learned a lot from him. And I would ride with the late Bobby Shannon. But for the most part, I was by myself, and then Rue was like, well, what do you think about joining up with us, dude, we're doing the same shows anyway, just
Mhm.
saying like that, and I was like, I'd be stupid to say no, because
Yeah.
they was like so popular in the area. It's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
I could ride this wave and it can help me out, and
Yeah.
now I will say this, and I never said this to Rue, but it was an adjustment for me. I mean, I never gave any resistance. I always was a team player, but it was a
Yeah.
struggle for me internally, just trying to be a part of a group, because I always just trusted me. And then when you're used to being a singles wrestler all the time, you're not used to sharing your spotlight with somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never done anything selfish. I was always a team player. That's why we were very popular around here, and then it was always easy for us to get bookings, because
Yeah.
we weren't a nightmare. We weren't a dark
Mhm.
cloud coming into the dressing room, the locker room, or anything like that and stuff. So, but that's how I ended up getting to the group. We got along good. We, when we party, we was always, all three of us was like real laid back. We're not loud. We're fun guys, but we're not real rowdy. We're not attention seeking. We're laid
Yeah.
back. We have our drinks. We'll have. I wouldn't even smoke a cigar at the time, but we have our drinks. We love the line dance. And hanging out with partying with Rudy. That's what really started kind of bringing me out of my shell. I'm still kind of an introvert. Regardless of what people think.
Mhm.
But it started making me kind of come out and being just a tad bit more social. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah, but before we get on to the next topic, you were talking about Sid Vicious.
Hmm.
I know you have a bit of a history with him.
Right,
This next Saturday night, Pro Wrestling Mid South presents the Winter Classic. It's our yearly, end of the year event.
right,
Uh, we're actually inducting Sid Vicious into our Hall of Champions.
right.
Downtown Bruno is going to be inducting him, and his son
Gunner, yeah.
Gunner, he's going to be in Dyersburg, accepting the award on his dad's behalf.
Oh man, that is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That is cool.
Oh yeah.
If I can rearrange my schedule, I wouldn't mind making that ride up Highway 51 for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like we say, you're welcome. Take
Right,
that ride down Highway 51.
right.
Yeah.
See, it was a good guy. See, it was a very
Oh yeah.
interesting guy too.
Yeah.
He could be temperamental, like and stuff, but see it. My first TV commercial I was ever in, it was because of See It. See It. I was working with my dad one day. My dad was still here. I would help him. My dad was a contractor, so I would help him on jobs. So she called me up one day. So, because I'm not saying that this is a name drop, and Gunner could, probably verify some of this, or at least know that me and his dad were, cool. So it's not like,
Yeah.
okay, I met somebody once, oh, we're best friends. It was nothing like that, because me and Sid used to work at the same gym,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
anyway, so Sid would call me up one day. He like, hey, Poker, you want to be in a TV commercial? I'm like, yeah, just tell me where and when, like that, and it was a furniture
Yeah.
commercial, and then the last time I made an appearance for WWE, which was 2009, so I got the call from them, and then this is when Scott Hall was down here. He was staying with Sid. Sid was helping train him, and and helping
Okay.
Scott battle through some things,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so I had got the call to come up there. I had to do Raw and Little Rock, and then had to go to SmackDown in Tulsa. And so Sid and we were MCW, so Sid and Scott Hall was sitting in the office, and I was like, I kind of had to keep it under wraps. I didn't want to announce to everybody. And I was like, hey, I'm going to New York. That for people who don't know, New York is old term reference for WWE, and Atlanta was a reference to WCW or NWA at the time. And I was like, well, hey, I got another shot up there, yada yada and stuff, and Sid was like, well, hey, I want to call Bruno and tell him that you're coming up there and to look out for you.
Yeah.
And so this was on the Friday night. So then I could see it at the time. He was in the midst of doing this short film that he was doing, a
Mm-hmm.
short independent film. And so where I was heavily featured in it, like I said, Sid liked me. If he liked you, he would take care
Yeah.
of you. And so the
Oh yeah.
next night we had to shoot some more footage in Rodney Mack's his promotion in DCW in Jonesboro. And so I saw Sid the next day. He like, hey man, I called Bruno. I didn't get him, but I left a message on his answer machine. Gonna look out for you. And not that I, just wrestling. You know how wrestling could be. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he just blowing
Yeah.
smoke on my butt or whatever. And so when we got to Raw that Monday in Little Rock, saw Bruno. So Bruno was probably one of the first people I saw. He like, hey brother, like that. So you see a call, man, get a chance to talk to him. But he told me look out like that. And around that time, the Brooklyn Brawler, who was a backstage official at the time, he
Mm-hmm.
walked past. Hey Brawler, come here. Hey, it was me, Austin Lane, Kevin Jackson. Like these are my guys from Tennessee, right here, like that. And I'm like, what? And Bruno looked out for us. Now
Yeah.
let me go back a couple years. So '03, we were doing it was me, Alan Steele, and Rude had went to WWE. We did
Mm-hmm.
Raw and SmackDown. And so we were backstage. I want to say it was at SmackDown the next night. And so Raw was in Huntsville, and yeah, SmackDown was in Birmingham. So we were in Birmingham. So we were backstage, and so they have it like extremely cold, like meat locker cold back there. So I'm backstage, with a hoodie on, like that. And so we just got through talking to Bruno, and it's this guy. I don't think he does. I don't watch it, so he still might be there. This is a bald head white guy, looks like Mr. Clayton. I know it. I got room to talk. So he was one of the main security guys. So we had just got through chopping up with Bruno, and then uh, Bruno walks down. He walks down the hall, and gets ready to cut the corner. And so the guy was like, "Hey, are y'all supposed to be back here?" And Bruno, I guess he has like superhuman hearing. He was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, hey," he cut back around. Hey, no, they're with me. And the guy was like that, and all was good. I'm like, that's some real stuff right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm sorry, I had to go. I had to, I try to give people
No,
open my
you're all
eyes
good.
and stuff, like hearing stuff, and like I said,
Yeah.
Bruno was a real good guy. I mean, like I said, Sid
Oh
too.
yeah, I love
Sid,
him.
Sid was like, so he got me. Sid was always, and I think how me and Sid really kicked it off. I wasn't one of the stupid young guys that would
Mhm.
ask him stupid questions. I would literally follow him around for like hours at the gym, just ask him questions. I wasn't even working out. I mean, I was there to work out, but then he was there,
Yeah.
which I was smart enough, to where I would never ask him questions while he's doing his set. So he
Yeah,
puts the
yeah,
weight
yeah, yeah.
on, I ask a question, then when he gets ready to pick it back up, I shut up and I
Yeah.
asked him the right questions, and he was guiding me. Do this, do that, do this, and no. And he told me, like I told you, this is the indie level. This is where you make your mistakes. This is where you
Mhm.
make them. You can sit there and he was referring to me. I could have a 0-200 record wrestling this on indies. He said, but if somebody up in New York, as he says, look at you and they see money, all that can change.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, nobody ever just put it to me like that
Mhm.
before.
Yeah. But something else, another topic I wanted to bring up was, we were talking about, you were part of a group and you guys got misinterpreted for members of the rap music group.
Hmm.
My episode 7, even though he was supposed to be a surprise, I'll go ahead and reveal him to you. It's Jason Peter Rose.
Oh no, not Boyd.
Yeah. And so,
TLS.
he was a part of a group known as the Black Label Society.
Yes.
So that's probably going to get brought up on his episode as well.
Right.
My co-host Blaze Ray, I'm pretty sure you're kind of familiar with him a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he set that up. He reached out to JPR
Hmm.
because, like I said, I covered. I got the guests for 1 through 6, and I kind of reached out to Blaze. I said, "Hey, you're a co-host. You need to pick up your weight a little bit." Is what
Right.
I'm trying
Right.
to do.
Right. Right.
It's like you got connections, I got connections, you got connections, so it's time to start bouncing connections off of each other and getting some people in here.
Exactly.
But I'm
Exactly.
very excited. I'm very excited for Jason Peter Rose's.
That's probably going to be very entertaining. To
Oh
say
yeah,
the least.
yeah. Yeah, I met Jason Peter Rose quite a few times. He was working for
He just
Greg before. Then
he
they
just
brought him
made me
back
home a
in.
couple of years ago.
Yeah, but he brought him. Greg brought him in to manage a couple years ago.
Right.
And now he's not doing anything professional wrestling, working his day job, stuff like that, which I'm
Right. Right.
you know all power to him. I
That guy can
love
cut
JPR to death.
he can cut a heck of a promo. I know
Oh yeah,
we had a match with them in Ripley some years back. This was when the late Robbie Douglas was still here.
yeah, yeah.
And so we were in the ring. I think we had to face him. He gets the microphone. Now, he's long winded. I'm like, this dude should have been a Baptist preacher or something. And
Hmm.
he got that microphone, and I thought I was ready for the match, but then when he got through cutting that promo, I'm like, man, I'm ready to beat somebody. I mean, like he got me like super hype, and I'm like, and I'm
Yeah,
facing him. Yeah, he was man. I
yeah.
think he was managing, and me and Rude were going against Robbie and AJ.
Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
I know AJ Bradley.
Yeah,
AJ come in and did some stuff with Greg for a
right,
bit.
right,
Yeah, I love AJ to death too. Love Jason Peter Rose. I
yeah.
met Robbie Douglas once, but he seemed like a nice guy as well.
Robbie was a butthole, and I say that with all the love. Seriously, Robbie, because it was a couple times, and he was like green as a gourd, and
Yeah,
and I was like, well, you know how I talk. I'm trying to keep this as
yeah,
I've been. Look, you need to applaud me. I haven't said one swear word yet. Like and so it's like really
yeah.
bit hard. But
I
I'm
know
like,
you've been keeping yourselves. You've
yeah,
been keeping yourself
right.
steady on it.
And he was like, but Robbie was cool. And last time that I had saw him, I was uh I was actually hanging out because he had started he had like, one while he had started fighting. He was doing MMA, and
Okay.
then he started doing announcing for this it was a company here called I think it was either Summit or V3. It was both of them. It was two smaller like indie MMA
Yeah.
companies here, and I was at this
Yeah.
bar in South Haven. I want to say my boy Michael Ward. You saw him at the last Mayhem, the bald head white dude, like Elmer Fudd, was sitting back there with me. He's like the only
Sort
guy
of,
that
kind of.
sits with
Yeah.
me back there. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so And so we were sitting there, and I was like, Robbie Douglas, because that's his Robbie Douglas' wrestling name, and he just turned and looked, and I gotta find that picture too. I know I posted on Facebook and stuff, and then it was like on a Sunday, I had got word that he had passed away, and that like man, because we weren't, him
Yeah.
and Rue were like really cool. I mean, we
Mhm.
had got, as time went on, we was around each other more. We got cooler, just that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
initial meeting. I'm like this little young son of a gun, but
Yeah.
I know people probably say that about me when I first started as well and stuff. But Robbie was a good dude, like for real.
Yeah.
He was for real. Yep.
Yeah, like I said, I think I only met him once or twice.
Mm. But he's a
Him,
butthole. He was still, even when he's still a butthole.
hmm, him, JPR, I think AJ Bradley and John Michael. Because John Michael, he's been working for Pro Wrestling Mid South for Greg
Right,
for however long. So they all four of them got to take a group photo outside the Herbal Russellplex in Dyersburg.
right.
And John Michael will still post that picture every now and then. So will JPR, stuff like that.
Right.
You know, well, uh, kind of dig into your personal life a little bit. The
Come
next
on,
topic
dig, get
is
the shovel out, man.
yeah, yeah. You have a little boy, don't you? Well, I say little. I don't know how old he.
Well, honestly, he's 23 now.
Really,
Yeah, yep,
really. I
he's
remember seeing
23.
the picture of you holding him. That one. I don't know if you remember that picture or not. I'm pretty sure you
Yeah,
do.
yep.
Yeah.
And how I got that picture, a friend of mine, she used to come to Dyersburg all the time. Her name's Alex, and she was like in high school, so I think like she was, maybe some kind of photography club, something like this. So she would come every week, just take pictures, like left and right.
Mhm.
And so a couple years ago, she had just randomly just messaged it to me on, and that is like because I've not seen my son since I'm gonna give you some of my like some just open door a little bit. I have not seen my son. I have not seen him or talked to him since 2013. So we're
Mm.
now the best. When things go south with the mom and the mom has
Yeah.
custody of the kid, then then that
Yeah.
doesn't work out for the. And I will say this: I don't have. He's always gonna be my son, whether he loves me or not. I don't have any biological kids,
Mhm.
so I pretty much raised him probably a little bit from the time he popped out until many years after that. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but I still love
Gotcha.
him. Like there's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
nothing gonna change that. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is what it is. The only thing I can do is pray and move on. If he calls me, hey, I no resentment, no grudges. Like, hey, son, I miss you. And that's most he'll get out of me. For us, bringing up the past.
Yeah. Yeah. See, co-host Blaze Ray. That's the number one thing. I'm not gonna put his personal business out there like that unless he wants me to. But
Mm-hmm.
he's always wanted to be a father, and
Mm-hmm.
he got that chance. He's got a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's kind of like what you said. The relationship between him and his ex. It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going on, and that's one of the reasons why he couldn't be co-host today. But
Right. Yeah.
I always try to pray over their situations like that. You know,
Right.
I hope the best for him. I talk to him every day. He's our announcer, our ring announcer because he had ankle surgery probably about a
Really?
year or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think I do
know.
remember seeing that. Now that you say
Yeah,
something.
whenever he was born club-footed. His feet
Okay.
was on backwards.
Golly.
So whenever he was just a baby, they had to break his ankles and then flip his feet back around.
Yep.
And he's
Yep.
had problems with his feet ever since. But he wrestled for 12, 13 years with
Right.
that. And to bring him up, I know this is one thing that he wanted me to bring up if he couldn't be on here. And he was going to bring it up if he could. Because he was trained by, what is his name? I can't remember it off the top of my head. But Rude had a Seaton, last name Seaton, Kilo.
Kilo. Kilo.
Kilo. Yeah, he was trained by Kilo. And they were doing in the middle of I think Rude trained Kilo or had a hand in
Yep.
it.
Yep.
I guess they were training, and you and Rude showed up in the middle of training. You and Blaze had a little match, I guess you can say, and you stiffed him because you didn't have your glasses on.
Oh, okay. I would say if I did it, it wasn't
Yeah, it
intentional.
wasn't
But I don't think
intentional.
that. But when you said the glasses, that's probably true.
Yeah, but they said he wanted me to bring that up to you and bring that up. But yeah, he's like,
I honestly, I have. I'm not gonna say like I got Alzheimer's or nothing like that. A
yeah,
lot of stuff, dude. I've been wrestling for so long, dude. A
yeah,
lot of stuff I don't. I mean, that sounds true, so I won't
yeah.
doubt it. I don't remember that particular. Uh, I don't remember that particular instance, but that does sound like something that without my glasses, yeah, you know,
Yeah, I think they said you took his glasses off, and you guys were just kind of doing a little sparring, little
yeah,
lock up,
yeah.
just a little tiny little match, and like yeah, he said you clipped him quite a few times in the ring, and even
Yeah.
Rude. I don't know if it was he said if Rude said it or Kilo said it or both of them said it was like damn Poker, you didn't have to stiff the kid like that.
Yep, that's typical me, man. That is typical me,
Yeah.
man.
Well, before we get on to the next subject, I like to carry a story around. You are legitimately the only one I've seen ever shoot on somebody in the wrestling ring.
You talking in
You know
Ripley?
what I'm talking about.
In Ripley?
In Ripley.
Okay,
It
I was
was
about
a
to say.
six man tag team match. It was
Yeah, it
you,
was me, Richard,
AJ Raven,
AJ
Richard Ring,
Raven, J Bone,
Bash,
Bash, and Brad Bat.
Damone.
I remember. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It was Damone.
No, it was Brad Bat.
Was it Brad?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
I
I'm
got that one
100%
wrong then.
positive it was
Okay.
Brad Bat. Yep, I'm 100% positive Brad Bat. Yep,
Yeah. We were
100%.
sitting back there. Well, the reason why I think it was Damone because you and Damone was in a feud for the title.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
that's what I think it was Damone.
Okay.
But all I remember is I'm sitting back, we're watching the camera, you get in, you lock up with Bash. I think it was Bash.
Yeah.
Then it just goes away from there. Tell the people about that.
Well, I don't pull the curtain back too far, so
Too far.
I'll choose my words carefully.
Yeah,
No,
you're
so
worried
what it was,
because
Rashad
they're not
called
in
an
the
audible.
business. I don't think they're in the business anymore.
I ain't worried about them. I'm talking about boys like,
No.
I don't pull the curtain back too far on the business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
I mean
something like that.
everything is
Well,
fine.
this was a shoot,
Yeah, but
so
no, but we no, we
yeah.
got we went past. So
Oh yeah.
it was a match. So me and Brad Bad were in the match first,
Hmm.
and Rashad called an audible. And I just see these guys, I just see people charging the ring, so I'm thinking it's a fan. And then I'm like, okay, Rashad called an audible. Like, I assumed it had to been him. And so I got experience more and got more experience than everybody in the ring. And they were basically just more or less Bash was going into business for himself, but was not listening. And he was barely trained because I know Sir Mo had started, and I think maybe
Yeah.
J Bone had started working with them and stuff. So
That's I think Bash is J Bone's stepson, something
Well, I
like
know
that.
I think he was dating his mom at the time, J
Yeah.
Bone.
Yeah, he was
So
dating
I
his
don't
mom. Yeah.
okay. And so then he's not listening,
Yeah.
and they were just I mean just doing he was just doing everything they could to AJ and Richard Ring like that and stuff. So finally I'm like, screw this. And I tagged myself in, and then that's when the melee started.
Yeah.
And I have not. Let me think before let me go back all these years I've been wrestling.
Hmm.
I think that's the first. Now it's been some near incidents like that.
Yeah.
That was probably because it was I got into it with him. Then me and J Bone exchanged. And I would say J Bone got a good one on me. And it's like normally when I get in a fight, I very seldom get hit. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm Tyson by any means, so like that and stuff. But normally, I very seldom get hit. This is no, and I'm not tooting my own horn because I can take an L like everybody else. And he got me, and I remember I was like, you hit like a female dog, this me being
Yeah.
this me. Then I remember then the match ended. They went out the front door, And then so now I'm like, okay, now I ain't in the ring, I ain't got this bouncers like that. So I remember when I don't know if you didn't go outside. I cussed his mama out because she was standing there, she was mouthing off, and I was like, this is gonna be my first cuss word right here. No, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna see how long I can go. And she was mouthing like, so I'm on one. I'm just ready to get
Yeah.
it. Rashad would have got it. I was that
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, somebody
Yeah.
better shut this B up like that and stuff. And I don't normally, I'll say that word in private stories. I don't make it a habit
Mhm.
of calling a woman that to their face
Yeah.
like that. Not out of fear, but just out of respect. I don't do that.
Mhm.
But I said that night I didn't care. I want everybody could have got this smoke. And
Yeah.
then it was some other guy there. I guess he was with them, and I think he was just there. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
and I read body language. I watch everything. I'm a
Mhm.
strategist, like that and
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like, and who the F is this dude right here? So, and I remember Haley Maxwell. You probably went to school with her, didn't you?
I
She said
remember.
blonde hair. She was like
Oh,
real
I didn't go to
athletic.
Ripley School. I went to
Okay,
Halls, but yeah, I
and she
remember.
told
I know who you're talking
okay,
about.
so because I remember
Yeah.
when I came back in, she was like, "Hey, Paul, how you doing?" I'm like, "Shut the f up," like, so I'm, So then I came back in,
Everybody getting it, ain't they?
yeah. So then, I mean, after the show, I went to, I like, babe, I'm sorry, I apologize, I was just mad. So I do remember saying that.
Yeah.
I guess the but I was on one. I was like, man, I said they got, they got me. And then Rashad had seen me go after people too, so I know he was like, oh man, like this gonna get bad, like that and stuff. But then
Yeah.
I saw them a couple weeks like, yeah, J Bone came to me. Well, this is I'm like, I get it, like that and stuff, but still, it was what it was, like that and stuff. But like I said, I saw, like I said, I saw them after that, and everything was, I'm still watching people, but everything was fine. If I see
Yeah. Yeah.
either
Yeah.
one of them,
Yeah.
I'm that was over 10 years ago. I'm over and done with that and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was, it's
Yeah.
stuff like that. Especially you got a bunch of men around, man. I've
Mhm.
been in a couple. I've been, I've been at least one, two. Let me count. One, two, three. I've been in, we counted. I've been in 4 locker room fights, and you get
Okay.
all the testosterone in one setting.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, like that and stuff. As long as ain't nobody, shanking nobody or
Yeah.
pulling guns, it's going. Because like if it ever happened, if it, because it was going to happen one night in Ripley when I was. You weren't there yet. I know you weren't there. This is when
Yeah.
I wasn't even in charge at the time. Alan Steele was still booking, and
Okay.
Mo Siegel and Eric Wayne, and they had heat from some deep personal stuff. And
Yeah.
so I remember that night. And so then so we did this deal. It was my idea, when they draw, do raffle tickets, and whoever wins picks the main event. And this was like on the fly, like and stuff. So it came down to Eric Wayne and Mo Siegel, and we're like, and we already know the backstory, and like, oh crap, well we gotta let it go. And so anyway, Mo ended up, I think he ended up, and Allen still ended up being the referee. I'm like, okay, if this gets out of hand, we got Allen in there, which Allen was
Yeah.
the booker, so I was just there helping out. And so anyway, Mo ends up walking out, and so Eric is in the ring. So Eric's trip, and because when the personal stuff happened, I don't want to put it out there. Like, look, I told you, I'm telling you, Mo
Yeah.
Siegel slept with Eric's girlfriend. So at the time, so there's that.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, that's yeah. So they had beef from that, and so Eric, I had talked to Eric about the situation that happened. Because at the time they were both living around the corner from me. They were living together, so they lived around the
Mhm.
corner from me. And so, Eric had told him about the situation. Then Mo was like, "Well, how?" He called me like, "Well, how do I handle it?" I was like, "You got to man up." I told him, I said, "You were wrong." I got his stuff. I said, if it comes to a fight, you're gonna have to fight. I said, don't let nobody beat you. Don't take no butt whooping. I said,
Yeah.
but it's just something that it's going to have to happen. You cross the line with one of the boys or lady. And so anyway,
Mhm.
Mo Siegel walks out, front door, and Eric's back there. He's hot, but he's like, he was going to keep it professional. And Eric was there with Maverick. You know who Maverick is, big
Yeah.
tall dude.
Yeah. Big Mall.
So I
Yeah.
think Mo was like thinking somebody's going to jump him. And so I sent word after. I said, you tell Mo to get his, you know, self in
Yeah.
here and man up to it. And I'm like, and ain't nobody jumping them. I said, because if somebody jump in, then I got to jump in. When I can't handle, I just call rude, and nobody want to deal with big brother like that and stuff. And so then, so Mo finally came back in, and I'm like, okay, well then, y'all need to fight right here.
Yeah.
And both of them looking at each other. I was like, so y'all not gonna do nothing? I said, well, as far as I'm concerned, and mind you, I'm not even the book at the time, so I'm just a consultant. I'm on the show, but I'm a consultant. I said, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, this issue is dead and Ripley. I said, y'all had a chance to, get it over. Neither one. I said, both of y'all turned to some female dogs. I said, so it's done, and I don't want to hear nothing else about it in Ripley. Now, what y'all do elsewhere, it's fine. Ain't nothing happening here. Y'all had the opportunity, you didn't do it. It's squash here.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna let them fight when nobody gonna
Oh yeah.
anybody jump in, it was gonna be bad. They're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that stuff. So that was, but yeah, but like I said, for that the fight that you mentioned, I was in. I mean, like I said again, it happens, and like I said, and I
Yeah.
would allow it. Like I said, long as like say, friends, I would. It made him. I can't say I could stop everything, but they kind of know better as far as nothing else. The respect the guys have for me.
Oh
And if
yeah.
it's something that needs to happen, then I'm like, don't do it in the building because I'm paying for this building. Like, you take
Yeah.
this outside, better ain't nobody jump in.
Yeah.
It's gonna go head up, like that and stuff. But then I'll tell them too, you got Navy cops around here, and so if they
Yeah.
catch y'all, I ain't bailing nobody out.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the next topic, we're gonna go over this next topic real
Hey,
quick,
but
and
check this out. I know I should have asked you this beforehand. Uh, I'll probably get me. I know I need some work done on my car. Dude, my shocks are blown all the way around. I mean, I could run over an ant, and I could like literally like feel it, like and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
You know any guy? Any good like car repair places or anything like that?
Actually, I do. Our newest sponsor. We signed them on last week. We put them over on the John Michael episode. Um, J&J Customs Auto Repair and Diagnostics in Halls, Tennessee. We're gonna add them
Oh,
to the stage. There's their graphic right there. I
okay,
know.
cool. All right. And so they do so they do like oil change. Do you think they do shocks or anything like that?
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. If anybody needs to get any sort of kind of work done, they do everything from simple oil change to major diagnostics. Family owned and operated, and they both have over 20 years experience with mechanics.
Oh,
So
that's
the
cool.
owner is Mr. Lonnie Flowers. His phone number is there on the graphic. It's 901-697-9031, or his mechanic's number, Mr. Robert Sylvester. His number's on there as well. They're located in the Halls, Tennessee area.
Mhm.
If you want to give them a call, Poke, they'll set you up right. Tell them the Mid South Resident Center podcast sent you, and I'm pretty sure they'll get you some good pricing.
Okay, that's what's up. I sure would look into it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Also on there, if you don't see, any major diagnosis where they have to hook up their computer to your vehicle, there's an instant $75 diagnosis fee. Now that's a lot cheaper than what most places will charge you,
Right, right.
especially
Okay,
around
okay.
here.
Right, I got
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So everybody can reach out to them.
Hmm.
We definitely appreciate them sponsoring the Mid South Wrestling Center podcast. Just to give everybody a heads up, if anybody would like to become a sponsor for the Mid South Wrestling Center podcast, reach out to me on Facebook at Cody Bowers. I've got the best plans and pricing around. You know,
Hey, you might need to email that to me. If you email that to me, and then if nothing else, I'll put it on my business page as well and give you a plug.
okay, yeah, but appreciate that, brother. Well, the next topic we're going to bring into, and you've kind of already brought it up, is I kind of did my research a little bit. September 2003, WWE Velocity. You
Yep.
had two matches, but the
Hmm.
main one we're going to kind of focus on is your tag team match with the Basham brothers.
Okay.
They had their what do we call it? Their dominatrix,
Yep.
Shaniqua,
Shaniqua. Yep.
and you and a gentleman by the name of Scott Fantastic
Yep.
tagged against the Basham brothers, and you got power bombed by Shaniqua. Tell us how that come about.
Okay. Let me give you a lead up to that. I got to give you
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
the whole
That's good.
story. Okay. So we had got booked. Well, no, ain't no week. So it was matter of fact, John Michael was supposed to been made that trip.
Okay.
And I think he couldn't make it. I don't know if it was job commitments or something like that.
Hmm.
but he was booked, and so I think Rude ended up taking his spot. So, like I mentioned earlier, Raw was in Huntsville, and then SmackDown was in Birmingham. So I wasn't
Hmm.
booked. So at the time, I had the most dependable ride. So I was like, well, hey, you know what? I'll drive us. It would, and it wasn't that, a little over 3 hours. Well, it was
Yeah.
longer for Rude because Rude, he stays in, Humboldt, and Allen stays,
Gotcha.
in like right across the state line. He did at the time.
Yeah.
And so we got there, and so this shows you how much Rude gets on my nerves sometimes. It's a big brother little brother relationship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm a little
Yeah.
brother, and so when this showed you how real he was. So he had a match for him and Allen tag against Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak on Sunday Night Heat.
Mhm.
And
I think
so
I
what
saw that
Rude
one
did,
too. Was it
yeah,
was it Allen and Rude?
yep, yep.
Allen and Rude. Yeah, I remember seeing that match too.
And so what Rue was gonna do, he was gonna fake an injury the next night so I could potentially take his place.
Yeah.
So that's real. So you don't find too many guys like that in wrestling.
Oh
But
yeah.
come to
Yeah.
find out, so I ended up I wrestled that night. So we were backstage. So Sergeant Slaughter, WWE Hall of Famer, former WWE
Mhm.
champion or
Yeah.
WWF champion. So
Mhm.
they were like, I was standing, now I'm pretty sure security is a whole lot tighter. So we had got there maybe like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. So they didn't even have the Titantron up. They were still putting up the whole, production set. And
Okay.
so backstage, so Sergeant Slaughter had this list, and he was like, boom, boom, boom. Man, we're short one guy. So Rude starts like nudging me, like, just speak up, dude. And I was like, I'm like a little scared nerd in school. I'm like, hey Sarge, I drove these guys up here, but if you need extra guy, I got my bag in the car. He like, you got your bag? I'm like, yes, sir. He like, we'll go get it. I'm like, and it took every bit of me not to skip out to the car. I mean, dude, it was
Yeah.
just like, wow. So I go out there, and mind you, at the time I had been working with my dad, and it was because this was September 2003, and so
Mhm.
I worked with my dad all day and wouldn't eat. So it's like 100 degrees outside leading up to that. So I dropped that. I was never at the time, not like I'm huge now, but I was, I was around 160, 170. I dropped down like
Yeah.
158. I remember that.
Mm.
And so I had a dark match. So it was me
Yeah.
and Tyson Tomko versus Heidenreich
Okay.
and Scott Fantastic. So that was a dark match. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's 10,000 people there, and I'm in every definition of the word runt. That was me that night. I
Mhm.
got and stuff. So I'm like, okay, they're not expecting much out of me, so I got to capitalize on my lack of size, and it worked
Mhm.
out. So next night, so we leave. Me, Allen, Rude, we leave the show early, go to Birmingham. So I'm not, like, hey, I got my one WWE match. I could hang up my boots, wouldn't care. Didn't have to wrestle
Yeah.
another match in my life. So hanging out backstage. And like I told you about the incident with Bruno, and I had my hood on and stuff like that and stuff.
Mhm.
So then they was like, so they were like, well, hey, we got another match for you want. It was something around along the lines of that. I'm like, okay, cool. So I had a dark match.
Yeah.
So we got around the ring and stuff like that. So one of the referees come back there, like, which one of y'all is? And then I was able to use my name too. Let me throw that out there. I get
Yeah.
stuff. So a lot of times they bring in guys, they would have to use whatever name they give them. And like, okay. And so I was out there, they was like, well, who's Pokerface? I'm like, that's me. All right, your match has been scratched. You're going to be in a tag team match against the Basham brothers. And at the time they were the
Mhm.
WWE Tag Team Champions. I'm like, oh, I know
Yeah.
this is going to TV. Like that
Oh yeah.
stuff, So then it was, like I said, it was, and I got teased a lot. And for those of you who hadn't seen it, I actually had them beat. I had Doug Basham. I had him rolled up. If I
Yep.
did a Pat O'Connor, rolled him up. Sinigo comes
Mhm.
in, hits me, power bombs it, boom. He gets on top. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So I got teased by a lot. Me, I got thick skin, so it didn't bother me. But I was
Yeah.
teased by
Yeah.
guys that didn't even know me. But I was like, I knew and then when I got paid, and so it's like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure when I got paid that night, you never made in a month wrestling. So like, hey,
Yeah.
joke all you want, like that and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was, I had a little fame. I didn't see it, but they said like, a couple weeks after that, when Taz was doing, he was making, poking fun at my, no pun intended, poking fun at my lack of size. like and stuff. But but then when I came in, because they would be my partner now, I got the big tag. I came in there, House of Fire. I got
Yeah.
oh, it's Shades of Pokerface. And according to my buddies, for like a couple weeks after that was Taz, and I don't know who his co-host was. They were doing announcing for Velocity, and so for a couple weeks after that, he just kept coming in. Somebody come in the House of Fire. Oh, it's Shades of Pokerface. I'm like, okay, and
Yeah.
everybody was like happy about it. I'm like, okay, well that's cool. I said, but if my name ain't on no
Yeah.
contract, that don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that, listening to that, because I watched the match on
Mhm.
YouTube or whatever. And I saw it and I was like, daggum, I was like, Taz is really laying into him on the
Yeah.
commentary.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
but it's all good fun, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I was, and then the night before. So when we did the dark match, and so Heidenreich and Tomko, they were in developmental at the time, and so after the match, and this is when I had a chance to meet Vince McMahon. So after the match, and this is when I have respect for Vince McMahon for the this the all the major, the big
Oh
monumental
yeah.
accomplishments that he's made in the business.
Hmm.
And then so instead of him just calling the guys that he has contracted and giving them pointers, he calls all four of us over, shakes our hand, tells us what he didn't like, and I'm awestruck, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is Vince, this is Mr. McMahon talking to me. I'm a
Yeah.
nobody in the business. I think everybody's a somebody in life, but in the business, I'm a nobody. I said this guy could have literally just like called his guys over, and he took the time out to critique us. And then one of the
Hmm.
points he pointed out, I made sure to use in my match the next night.
Hmm.
Was I think he had got on who was he lecturing? I want to say he was lecturing Scott. No, he was lecturing Heidenreich because he was like, your partner's getting the tar beat out of him, and you're
Yeah.
just standing there looking. He's
Hmm.
like, you need to, encourage a partner to get up. So that's about the next night. So you watch that Velocity match, you see me hitting on the side of the ring. I'm going in, breaking up the count and all that.
Yeah.
That's me. I mean, which I was doing it anyway, but sometimes you tend to, out of nervousness, you forget everything you learn. You got these thousands of people.
Yeah.
And another side note. So before the dark match that night at Raw, I was literally standing at the wastebasket, puking, about to puke. Me and Tom Cook was I was nervous. I mean, like my
Yeah.
stomach just dropped down. My heart just dropped down my stomach, and I'm like sick. And and I remember Tom Cook like, "Hey, don't worry, brother. I got us. I'll keep it together."
Yeah.
And he said that, and I'm like saying to myself, man, I'm Pokerface. This is what you do. And that wasn't the first time. I mean, it's the first time I ever wrestled in front of 10,000 people, but I hadn't
Yeah.
wrestled in front of thousands of people before. 2 years
Hmm.
prior, wait, 3 years prior to that in Windy City Pro Wrestling,
Okay.
but but again, this is WWE, not the Indies, like and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got together, and then same thing for the Velocity match. You know, one of my opponents, they was like, I was like, man, I'm about to be sick. And he like, man, he said, just listen to the music, you'll be fine.
Hmm.
Like that, and
Yeah.
I was fine. Yep.
Yeah. Cool deal. Cool deal. Well, the next topic I want to bring up, and I asked Bruno and Greg this, and Bruno doesn't really like doing the whole Mount Rushmore
Right.
type thing. I completely understand because there's so many great talent. But since this is the Mid South Wrestling Center podcast, we're going to kind of keep it numbed down to just the Mid South area. Who
Hmm.
would you say is the top five? Your opinion is the top five, whether it be from the past, present, maybe even somebody from the future you see coming up.
We talking about wrestlers?
Yeah, Mid South area,
Or,
stars, something like that.
okay.
You can mix it up for me, whatever you want to do, you know.
Definitely Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
If
Oh
we
yeah,
talking about
definitely.
okay, so
Yeah,
if
any
we
era.
talking about
You
Jerry
know, we
Lawler,
talked to downtown Bruno because downtown Bruno was in that era
right?
of Memphis wrestling, and he put Lawler on there, and
Yep,
I just wanted to get everybody's opinion,
yep. And so it would
Yeah.
probably the usual suspects would be Lawler.
Mhm.
I would say Jerry Jarrett from a business standpoint because he was the one
Yeah.
who put it together. Um, I would have to say Superstar Bill Dundee.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
Oh, four
kind of
and
putting you
five.
on the spot a
That's
little
kind of
bit, ain't it?
hard. Say again now.
Yeah. kind of putting you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah,
Kind of hard to.
45 is kind of hard because Law and Dundee, they were mainstays.
Yeah.
Like I said, Jerry Jarrett was the catalyst to make Memphis wrestling thing after the whole George Goulas thing. Nick Goulas, my fault. Uh, I would have to think of. I would have to say Dirty Dutchman.
Okay.
I would have to put them, but these guys that I idolize
Yeah.
coming up, I'll say the
Yeah.
Dirty Dutchman and Dutchman Tail for those who don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna tell you somebody I hated, and I'm gonna put him on this. I hated him
Okay.
because I wasn't in the business.
Hmm.
Eddie Gilbert.
Oh yeah.
Because as a kid, I was so worried because he was going after Lawless Crown, and I was so upset. Like, he's gonna be the new king
Hmm.
of Memphis. So I would have to say Eddie Gilbert.
Yeah. Hot
So
stuff, Eddie Gilbert. Yeah.
yep. So Jerry Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, Dutch Mantel, Eddie Gilbert.
Yeah. Me and Alvin Minnick, he's our next episode guest. You have you have a history with Alvin.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the fabulous ones.
Mm-hmm.
He sent me a video of I want to say it was Jimmy Hart. He went out and introduced the new fabulous ones, and
Tommy
like it
Rich.
was such. Well, no, it was I can't remember who it was. It was white guy and black guy. But they were setting up for that. They were setting up for Tommy Rich and Eddie Gilbert's new
Okay.
fabulous ones. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but they did a vignette where like they actually went to a funeral home because the fabulous ones died,
Right.
quote unquote, and it was such great TV and stuff like that. And you just don't get anything like that anymore, especially
Mm-hmm.
nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, that's good.
enough controversy and enough entertainment mixed
Yeah.
together, and it makes for great TV.
Yeah, it
But
does.
we were talking about the next topic was the next, Memphis wrestling is the next topic, but we're going to talk about now.
Okay.
Downtown Bruno has made the statement, and I have to agree with him. Memphis wrestling then. Oh, let's say this. Let's reword this. Memphis wrestling now will never ever be what Memphis wrestling was then. Do you agree with that statement?
1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%. And I was really waiting on this, so I got to really roll my sleeves up for this.
Yeah, I got to really. Yeah,
You
this is
know,
the one.
it's there's a lot of reasons why, because it's the change of the society period. So there's that, and for this is even probably around my Ripley days up until now, there were always different companies here. Then I
Yeah.
wrestled for Corey Macklin's version of
Yeah.
Memphis wrestling.
Yep.
And that would have been the last chance, in my opinion, that Memphis could have had to be probably not as big,
Mm-hmm.
but nipping at the heels of what I grew up watching. But and this is the advantage I tell people that I had and have over a lot of other wrestlers around here. I sit
Mm-hmm.
and watch. Like, me and you could sit there and be talking right now. We in a public place, but I
Yeah.
can still kind of tell you what's going on here. And I had the opportunity. 'Cause I was at Memphis Wrestling. I had two stints there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Corey Macker version, not the current version.
Yeah.
For those, well, I mean, I know but for those who don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I was there the first time, I would just show up, hoping to get put on. And this is when Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart were doing the XWF. I don't know if you old enough to remember that.
I
It was down in
remember
Florida.
watching something like a documentary about it.
Okay.
Can't remember if it was Dark Side of the Ring or something like that, but they
I
had
know. I
mentioned
think I know what
something.
you're talking about, because I saw that.
Yeah.
Was it on YouTube? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
basically, it was they should have called it XWWF, because
Yeah.
that's pretty much the majority of the roster was XWWF guys like that and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Who, not to be disrespectful, I never do that
Mm-hmm.
to the people who came before me, but they were past their prime. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying they couldn't draw money, but for was like what they used to do, they were a shell of what they used to be. I'll put it that way. To
Hmm.
most of them, not all. And so, basically, us guys around here, we were just fillers.
Hmm.
We were just fillers. We were just cheap labor. And so, I would be there all day, and I'm getting around to answer. I'd be around there all day, and wouldn't get a match, or they throw me into uh they would do like one live break, then they'd do a tape one for the following week. And I may get a dark match just to warm the crowd up. And then I got to the
Yeah.
point I got tired of just being all day when so I quit. Then I ended up coming back, and by the time all the XWF guys, there was a few they had that they were gone. So now they had the pick of the litter. No, okay, in that absence, they had started doing Laws of Armor versus Corey Macklin's team or whatever.
Hmm.
So they had started drawing around like 5,000 people at the Coliseum. I mean, they had really gotten big. But then by the time I came back, so maybe it was me, I don't know. The crowds had already started dropping.
Yeah.
So they went from, 4,000 or 5,000 people at the Coliseum to almost barely 400 people at Sam's Town in Tunica.
Hmm.
I'm there for this. And,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was like, and they didn't put, I mean, and this is not me, and anything that I say, I can talk very direct, especially with this question. I have no
Hmm.
sour grapes, I'm no bitterness, nothing like that.
Yeah.
They didn't book me right like that. I'm a grown man. I don't, I'm
Oh
past
yeah.
it. I got a bigger fish to fry. But
Yeah.
they didn't put as much thought into it as they should. They had to pick of the litter, all the guys here. You had Derek King, Johnny Dotson, you had me and Ruth there, you had Kevin White, you had
Hmm.
Brian Chris was there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then they just had, but the us younger guys, they didn't do, Tim and Flex, Too Cool Too.
Hmm.
They would give us a little something, but they would just give us just enough. And it's like, and it gets to the point where it's the same. It's like being served the same dish over and over again for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day,
Yeah.
every month, every year. And the crowd start dropping. And my thing is, if you're doing 5,000 people at the Mid South Coliseum, after you lost that first thousand, it's like, okay, we need to have some kind of meeting and see what the
Yeah.
problem is. It's definitely a problem. If my mayhem goes down, I know I'm working on a smaller scale, but still same principle. If my crowd drops 100, down dips 100, then I was like, okay, something I ain't do right. Okay, I got to come up with something else, better promotion thing, And then what I was getting to before I went off on a little tangent. For years, you had all these companies around here in Memphis, and one of the most stupidest thing I ever heard somebody say. I get the ideology that they're trying to, promote, but it's like, well, why don't all the companies work together? Why? You got company A draws 20 people, company B may have 15 people, company
Mhm.
C may have 30 people. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna barely have 70 people with 3 shows.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna. I don't work well with others, so I'm gonna throw that out there.
Hmm.
Somebody's always gonna want to be the boss. Nobody's probably going to stay in their lane. And
Yeah.
each company, even now, I think each, the companies that do run here, I don't keep my ear to the ground. I don't folk. I'm aware to a certain point what each company's doing, but I'm not. My ear's not exactly to the ground. And each company has their positive points. Like this
Hmm.
company's good with this. This company's good with this. This company, but nobody has it all together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then nobody, and I'm going to say this, and like I say, nobody can book like me. Now, I'm gonna tell you what my downfall is, which is a blessing and a curse. I space my events out a year apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have the reps that a lot of people have, so that can work against me. But where it helps me is I have more time to plan things out. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So I don't look down on anybody that runs, every other week, weekly, monthly. It's a hard job that I would not do.
Yeah.
I had this talk with Golden Boy before. I couldn't do it every week. I don't have the patience. The
Yeah. Yeah.
patience drives me crazy. If
Yeah.
I had hair, I'd be back bald again because I pull it out. But each company has their positive points. Everybody wants to say that they're the best,
Hmm.
but it's like, and I tell people, and the big question is, what's the best? It's a
Yeah.
subjective term. What's the best? Because I might ask you, all right, Cody, what do you consider a successful life? What I think and what you think may be two different things.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? With
Yeah.
wrestling, okay, one company might say because we have the best matches. You know, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but if you having the best matches and you got 30 people out there, how good are you? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Or some companies they can draw, and this has been like that from when I started. You know, we might draw a couple dozen people on the regular shows, then you bring in a name, the crowd pops. You
Yeah.
know, and my thing is it's easy to draw a crowd if you bring in a headliner from, you know, ex WWE guy or current WWE guy or AEW guy, TNA guy, whatever. It's easy to bring in a crowd using that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? My thing is my definition of it. Can you? Well, number one, the definition of the best show, successful show is how many tickets are you selling, and how many tickets are you selling just using guys from around the region, not necessarily
Yeah.
hometown. It could be just regular indie guys, not the indie dollars. If you can
Mhm.
draw, I'm gonna tell you somebody who's killing it though. Action Pack Sports, John Allen,
Mhm.
Jonathan Hope. He kills it. He runs a
Yep.
show. He does. I think he does like two a year. I call him, ask him for advice. His last show, and I was hoping you had brought this question up. I was gonna text him. His last show, I know it did around. He does around 700-800 at worst
Mhm.
each show. Each show
Yeah.
seven, and he does not bring any huge name. We're all names, big names, small names. He don't bring any
Yeah.
headliners.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I know John Allen very well.
John's a people person. I literally, he
Yeah.
could tell, he could testify to this.
Yeah.
I would call him and I would get promoting pointers from him. So I'm still
Yeah.
working on the promoting thing. I spend countless hours, you know, studying this, and this is daily.
Mhm.
Most promoters, they concentrate on the booking part. I can do the booking in my sleep.
Yeah.
The advertising part, that's to me, that's the tough, and that's what keeps me doing these mayhem. I wasn't gonna do a mayhem 11, and the only reason I
Yeah.
did it, and you were there, front and center from
Mhm.
last show. You see, that was now crowd wise, it was maybe either tit for tat or a tad smaller than Mayhem 5. Financially,
Yeah.
it was my best show.
Mhm.
It was my best show. With my expenses were higher on Mayhem 5
Yeah.
and stuff, but I had more guys on Mayhem 10, so that's why my profit, I broke even. We have to be transparent. I broke even. I had
Mhm.
paid 25 wrestlers, not counting staff.
Mhm.
So I paid 25 wrestlers. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know. So, but I got what I want. I knew what I was doing. I said I want to. Was I going to do a tournament for the belt, and then I was like,
Yeah.
no, people, that's too much. And I like, I'm gonna do a battle royal, and I started, and I know my budget was. Now, like, if I do the battle royal, my budget goes from here to there, and that's exactly what it did. But I broke
Yeah.
even. It was a good night,
Mhm.
But and I know I went around the whole question so like it, but it would never be the way it used to be. Like I said, just the landscape of the business anyway.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it can't be good. It will never be
Yeah.
great again,
Yeah.
but it can't be good. And the thing is, what a lot of people miss out on, this is any company. They don't know how to. Well, number one, the bar's been set so low for the most part. A
Mhm.
lot of these shows around here, not just in Memphis, but just in the area. Hey, you got a pair of boots? You got some tights? All right, hey, I'm gonna throw you in a match. The bar's been set so
Mhm.
low. And then you have to be a good leader. That's one thing I learned. Had a lot of good, people that I observed. Red Dog Rodney Mack, very good
Oh,
friend
yeah.
of mine. Very good friend of mine. I would toot this dude's horn all day. Jim Kleckner, the guy that we called our agent in when we wrestled for Windy City. The guy
Mhm.
that was his boss, Sam DeCero, he looks like an Italian version of Vince McMahon. But at least he did back when we were there. Vince McMahon
Yeah.
is, he doesn't look like the same Vince McMahon 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And I had and then trial and error on my part. And it's like, but nobody know, they rely, in my opinion, too much on the thing, the wrestling of yesteryear. Even though it's
Mhm.
different ingredients, so to speak, for us the wrestlers being the ingredients, but we still
Yeah.
serving them the same dish. It
Okay.
comes out,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And and
Yeah.
nobody, and they're too reliant on bringing in outsiders, where it's like, okay, when's the last time we even had like a major superstar from this area?
Yeah.
When the last time we got somebody that's like really signed? last person that got signed that I'm aware of was I don't know what he goes by now. Kid Nichols. I think he's one of the last ones just from Memphis. They got signed.
Mhm.
You know, and but one while WWE. Most of the people that came through Memphis end up being in WWE. The Brickhouse
Mhm.
Browns, the Moondogs. Lawler, Jarrett, Brian Christopher. Tracy Smothers. They came. Hulk Hogan
Yeah,
came through Memphis, and it's like now it's not like that. Which I'm not putting the total blame on anything, but like I said, things have changed. But at the
that
same
guy right
time,
there.
at the same time, but you can, focus more on the booking, focus more on, if you bring in a so-called name, make sure that what you bring them in, therefore, makes your company a little bit better. Make sure,
Yeah.
make it that, if they're wrestling one, the local guys, that, it's in a position to bring that guy up a couple of notches.
Yeah.
That's what people feel. I've never, with the exception of Rodney Mack, well, you know this, but this is for the sake of people who haven't been to my Millions of Mayhem. I don't rely. I could easily just make some phone calls, send some emails, and bring in. But it's like I've been on the receiving end of being a talent where I'm overshadowed. The promoter doesn't really promote until he spends all his money bringing in a so-called name. And
Mhm.
then you want to go out, you want to do the public appearances, you want to do the radio advertisements and this and that.
Mhm.
Well, where's all the energy on the other shows, the other 51 weeks of the year?
Yeah.
Use that same energy. You might
Mhm.
not sell it out, the same as if you bring in a name, but you would bring it up. We rely
Yeah.
too much on, relying on names. And then back to what I was saying, what's a successful show? It's easy to draw a crowd if you are doing, you're doing a fundraiser for somebody's medical expenses. Somebody's passed away, so you're trying to raise money for funeral expenses. You're trying to raise money for to get the band new uniforms, the football team, new helmets, or you're doing a fair, you're doing a festival. I'm not knocking it. If you get your money, get your money. So I'm not knocking it, but
Yeah.
be realistic about it. But you're not doing those numbers if you're doing a standalone show. This has happened because we monthly, me, Derek King, Blaze Out to Blaze, or the Wise Church, and Alan Steele, we do a monthly luncheon. And for like 2, sometimes 3 hours, we talk about wrestling. This comes up. So when I'm saying to you,
Mhm.
this conversation has come up with them. I was like,
Yeah.
when you're plugged in something, it's easy to draw numbers. But when you can just do it with just, you know, local talent or regional talent, then okay, you're doing something. Like I said, like action packed sports. John does a phenomenal job. APW, they do shows like in Mariana. I think they're doing one in Jacksonville, Arkansas coming up. They do
Yeah.
West Memphis once a month. They do real good. Ricky Candy, shout
Mhm.
out to him. They do real good. But it comes for and you got to have the right leadership. Now you worked under me. You know how crazy
Yeah.
I can get. But I learned
Mm.
that from the people. Now Rodney's always when I was working on the Rodney in Jonesboro, he was Rodney's for the most part always calm, cool, and collected. But
Yeah.
until you mess up, then
Mhm.
he gonna get you right. He gonna straighten you up. When
Oh
I was
yeah. Yeah.
wrestling
Yeah.
and when I was wrestling up in Windy City Pro Wrestling, the boss Sam DeCero, he was. I'm still more turned up than him, but he will tell you to shut the f up, and he
Mm.
will cut you out. And when we first went up there, I had never played like team sports like that as I got older. I played soccer and stuff, but
Yeah.
I was going to Christian private school, so we didn't have a ton of yelling and cussing. So originally
Gotcha.
was probably
Yeah.
used to it from football and stuff like that. So I was like, man, this dude's a butthole. But then as I was there longer and I started watching, I'm like, but this show flows so smoothly. Everybody's
Mhm.
in line. Everybody knows their role. And so I took that, then took elements from wrestling for Rodney and watching him, and then he put me in charge of his show. So now then, I really got my reps in at RCW. And it was never
Yeah.
a job, and none of my booking jobs I got, I never asked for it. I like, hey, I just want to be a wrestler, do my match, get paid, go to the bar afterwards, like that and stuff. But it was a reason why it happened, and then until, it could, like I said, it could never be great. It could be good again
Mhm.
if we just, number one, make sure our leadership is where it needs to be. Don't worry about trying to fraternize with the female talent, not, power tripping. I've gotten accused of, being, you know, power drunk before. Like, no, if I'm putting thousands of dollars of my money into an event, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be kind of very unreasonable. I'm gonna be very demanding, but nothing that I ask of my, staff or wrestlers is nothing more that I still do now. If somebody on a rare
Mhm.
occasion I do matches, I'm not a headache. I'm
Yeah.
not throwing, and I probably got experience more than everybody combined in there. I don't throw that around. I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
being respectful. I'm speaking to the guys. I'm never too good to speak. Now I might not sit there and just chop it up with you the whole time, but I'll speak. Hey, how you doing? I'm Poker. Like I said, good to meet you, brother. Good to
Mhm.
meet you, sister. Like that, and I go sit down. I'm not all up in the
Yeah.
promoter of the booker's face. I'm not trying to hobnob, and I sit down. Who's my match? Oh, okay. What match are we? Okay, let me go get dressed. Go do my deal. Sit around, get paid. And I hit the road. Go to a bar
Yeah.
afterward.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I completely understand that. Well, we got a couple more topics to get
Oh, I
through
got plenty
real
of time.
quick.
I know I had said I might have something to do. No, screw that, man. I got all the time that you need.
Okay. All right. Cool deal. Cool deal. So next topic I'm gonna bring up. Well, we'll kind of get back into personal a little bit. Um, Give the people an update on leukemia. You have
Oh,
leukemia, don't you?
I am okay. For those who don't know, June 3rd,
Yeah.
2020, I was diagnosed with CLL, chronic lymphocytic. I think I said it right. Leukemia. So I have a lot of my lymphocytes were high. My blood
Yeah.
cell count was high. It was abnormal. It was double the range for white blood cell count. I think the upper range is 10 to be normal. Mine was 20 or 21. And so here we are 4 years later. My white blood cell count is like nine something. So I'm back within normal. It's been back within normal range for like almost 2 years, I think. My
Hmm.
lymphocyte percentage is still high. But other than that, because I went from having doctor's appointments, follow-ups every 3 months. My numbers were good to steady, and was
Okay.
steady to good. And then it went from every 3 months checkup to every 4 months, and now it's every
Yeah.
6 months. So I'm doing
Okay.
good. I'm healthy. I'm
That's
not
good.
sickly. I definitely ain't. You see these tens. I definitely ain't losing no weight. And the doctor, he'll talk to me. My doctor appointment, man, it's so quick. When I go in, my appointment's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm walking out. I already got my results. They've drawn
Yeah.
blood. He asked me a couple questions, how you feeling, this and that. He'll check for my lymph nodes. He'll check on my arms, under my neck, and stuff like that. And I'm out the door.
Hmm.
So with leukemia, by the blessings of God. So I'm hopefully on the mend. I don't do any
Yeah.
chemo, no meds, no blood transfusions,
Cool deal.
anything like that. My doctors told me
Oh
when he
yeah.
diagnosed me, he just exercise, do cardio, and watch what you eat.
Yeah. All right. Cool deal. Cool deal. Like it just like pretty much any regular doctor would tell you.
Yeah.
Eat healthy. Make sure you're active.
Yep.
We got another comment from Wesley Adams. We were talking about him earlier. We saw his comment. I don't. I guess we just haven't been putting over your Millington Mayhem 11 as much
Mhm.
because he asked this. He said, "I'm intrigued by all the buzz surrounding the success of your annual event, Millington Mayhem. Will there be a Millington Mayhem 11?" Which we've already confirmed that yes, there will be a Millington Mayhem 11.
Yep.
He said, "If so, I'd love to know if you're in need of a referee for this event, as I'd be excited to take a part of the show." Now, I know you personally.
Hmm.
You're kind of, you like to choose. You like to be picky on who you choose for your Millington Mayhem, but trust me whenever I say I give Wesley Adams 2 thumbs up. If you ever get a chance to check out his stuff for Pro Wrestling Mid South,
Well, Wesley, send me. I mean, I have as of now have my referees, but I'm the boss. Shot caller,
yeah,
big boss. Send me a video of you repping a match, and if nothing else, you'll be on my radar. And I'm always the guy that people will ask for. This is like a couple months ago. C Rex, she was in need of a referee for one of her shows in Fort City, and
yeah,
I don't know who she ended up having because the ones I contacted weren't available to do it, or they didn't get
mhm,
back with me. And so put me, so nothing else. Sent me a video, and nothing else. You'll be on my radar. And Milton Mayhem 11 is April 12th, 2025. I will sign the ink the deal probably in a couple of weeks. And he was talking about the buzz around it. I didn't realize this, and this is not me being fake humble or nothing like that.
Mhm.
It's always been other people who came to me and was talking about how big of a deal it was to the
Yeah.
wrestlers. And I know it's a big deal to me because again, I'm throwing thousands of dollars into it.
Well, this is
But it's like,
thankfully this had come up because this was our next topic was Millington Mayhem. So it's
okay.
kind of good that he brought this up. So let's get into that.
So what's your question? And then I'll throw out it in there together.
Um, what made you decide to do Millington Mayhem? It's pretty much
Okay.
down.
So I've always been a curious fellow. So
Yeah,
this was back on the, I guess, the decline of USWA.
yeah,
So I remember as a kid watching Channel 5 when it was CWA, when they would show footage from, the Monday night. And they, it'd be, brightly lit. I mean, you couldn't, I mean, it was just thousands of people there.
hmm
Then I noticed, because children are very perceptive. People don't like, that's why you got to be careful what you do around kids. But kids notice things that you don't think they do. So as
yeah,
years
yeah.
went on, I'm noticing, a change, and the wrestlers I used to watch growing up. Okay, now they're not here no more, and now I'm getting a little bit more exposure to WWE and
hmm
NWA/WCW, and then I'm noticing like it's dark in there now. Then I'm looking, I'm
hmm
nosy, and I'm like, there's a lot of empty seats in there. Like, see, this is all going to go to the to answer what you're saying. And I
Yeah,
was like, so then it was a couple times that I went myself, and it's like nobody's here. They went, and it's some group. Well, sometimes they'll share some group here,
yeah.
and they'll do like a flashback, whatever, 1990 something, Mid South Coliseum, and they'll do
Yeah.
whether the match was who won, and what the attendance was, and they were lucky if they got 1,500 people.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So you go from 10,500, that was a number they always just stayed with, down to you dropped what, I don't know. I'm not good at percentages like that, but you went from 15,000. No, you went from 11,000 down to 1,500.
Yeah.
So I'm watching, and like I said, I'm watching like this. The wrestlers look different. The wrestlers don't look as superhero-ish like the WWE guys or the NWA guys and stuff. So I'm like, man, I said, well, they could do this. This is me as I'm not even in the business. I'm still in school. Then after I got out of school, then they went from Mid South Coliseum to the Pipkin Building, which is a smaller venue on the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and I'm knowing BS when I hear like, yeah, we're moving here so you can have a more intimate up close. And I'm like, I'm not buying it. And so then they went back to the Coliseum. And they moved from there to the big one, which it's off of Hollywood, and they did flea market there. So you might get a
Okay.
couple hundred there. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, what the deuce? I guess so. Anyway, so when I started wrestling on a regular basis, I remember this. So I was wrestling down at MCW in Osceola, and I would get there early and talk to Moondog. Moondog gave me
hmm
like my first real break, and I'm so glad that he didn't. I don't think he got offended. If he did, he never said anything to me. So I'm a
Yeah.
guy with a couple of matches. When I say couple, probably under 10 under my belt.
hmm
And I had been there for a couple of weeks, and I was like, "What? But dog, what if Which I wouldn't tell him how to do the job. I was like, we can go to the schools and do this and get And I'm just like, but I'm just trying to be a team player. I've always try to be a team player, like and stuff. Then I was like, man, I know. If I did this and I did this, I could, draw, I could at least get 1,500 people, for an indie crowd. Now that's good,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
didn't ever
yeah.
consider the wrestling here, USWC, that I never considered a indie company. It was more of a territory company, you
hmm
know. And so I was like, man, so it was a couple times from the time I started up until 2014 when I did the first Mayhem. I was in talks. I go look at the buildings. I know one time me and the late Charlie Parks, we had talked about, combining doing, like a show. And I ain't had no money at the time. And then I was like, well, I know he had the money, but it's like, but I want it to be my show. As far as
Yeah.
I have to say so, because I know how he runs his shows, and I'm like, this is how I want to run my shows. It never happened by the grace of God because it would have been a cluster.
Mhm.
And then so 2013, I was out for like months. I would go out, and what I was trying to do, I was trying to go to places. I'm like, well, why don't I try to sell somebody a show? Go to
Mhm.
like a big, like a like a parking lot or something. 'Cause I had done shows like that. Go to
Yeah.
like a car dealership, maybe a grocery store, something like that. I said maybe if I do that, they'll, then I can, run a show. And then it just, nobody was biting. And this conversation me and Rude had. And so I guess you can get a thanks to him. He was like, dude, he said, look, he said, dude, you going to him, you ain't got no building, you ain't got a date, you ain't got nothing. He said, so if somebody came to you with that, would you give them money? And I don't know if Rudy even remember this. I'm like, no. And that's what lit the fire under my feet. And I was like, okay, well, I need to try to find a building, and I need to try to find, like that and stuff. So I end up uh becoming friends with TWE, Total Wrestling Explosion, Randy King, Mike. I can't think of Mike's last name. Mike Grossman, that's it, and Kevin Aldi. I don't even know who
Okay.
Paris Kelly is, but that was the her people. And
Gotcha.
so I met Paris Kelly at
Yeah.
MLOW.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so I met her at
Yeah.
MLOW, and then I got, and then she was like, well, my dad and my granddad, stepdad run shows. So I got with them. They was like, well, yeah, we'll rent the ring out to you. I said, okay, now I got to find a building. So I was just searching, and like that, I done went to college buildings and
Mhm.
local around here and stuff. I was trying to do something at the one of the high school gyms here. Too much red tape. So one night I was up on my computer, and I was like, okay, let me, and so anyway, so I was like, it'd be cool to do something like a baseball stadium.
Mhm.
So I said baseball stadiums, Memphis area, something like that. And the USA Stadium came up. And mind you, I've wrestled in Dyersburg for years, so I would pass this
Yeah.
stadium every week for years. But it's sitting off the road, so it's not like I'd actually look at it. But when I come back home at night sometime, they have the big stadium lights on.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did I not? So anyway, so I made a call, talked to the guy that was director. So we met. He was like, man, we haven't, we've never had wrestling here. Yada yada, like that. We love to do it. And he was wanting to do it like the next month. It would have been
Mm.
like November. It would have been like I think at the time it might have been like October. I'm like, no. I said, no, I didn't have the money then. I said, if we're gonna do this, it's the first time we got to do it right. I said, let me try to find some sponsors, line everything up, pick a date, yada yada, like that and stuff. It's like good, like that and stuff. And that was probably the most horrendous 5 months of my life leading up to that.
Mm.
Because I'm new to it. I was familiar
Yeah.
with wrestling, I had booking experience, I had wrestling experience, but promoting is a different animal. Hold on,
Mhm.
promoting it right is a different animal. Just putting up a poster, cover poster, putting a cover flyer out, it's more to that.
Yeah.
And I had like the guy that Jim Kleckner, as I had mentioned earlier, he was like the number two guy up at the time at Windy City Wrestling. He was like my mentor, so I would call him. We would talk on the phone for hours. It got to the point I was picking people's brains so much and talking their ear off. They stopped answering my phone calls. Like seriously,
Yeah.
like and stuff. But I was like, man, I just want to do the show. I want to do it right the way I want to. And I
Mhm.
think it could be successful. Now, USA Stadium was like 5,000-6,000 seats. I got maybe around 250 for the first show.
Mhm.
I got the stuff, so I didn't fill it up. But
Yeah.
in comparison to other shows around here, I did good. I
Yeah.
did good.
Yeah.
I got the stuff, and
Yeah.
then I had a sponsor. They bailed on me. Now they end up being a sponsor years. They end up being a sponsor. I think first time they gave me a check was maybe Mayhem 4, and they
Okay.
bailed on me. I swear I got $3,000 from them, and they backed out of it. And I didn't. And I had a feeling that they were just by certain conversations, certain actions, And I was like, but I didn't have a plan B. And my dad
Yeah.
counted me out $1,000, like here, just do it. And I'm like, I don't want like just take, I'm like, okay, let me push my ego aside. And then I hustled, I grinded, and I came with the other money. And it was an
Mhm.
outside show, and it was raining forecast. So it's like, man, I said, if it rains, I'm screwed. I don't have any more money. Like that and stuff. I'm gonna still pay the guys. I said, because they took time out of their schedules and their lives. They come. I said, I'm gonna pay them. I said, I don't have any more money for advertising. I'm screwed. Both my bank accounts were at goose eggs,
Mm.
but it worked. And
Yeah.
it rained at night after the show,
Mhm.
and I cried. I cried and I prayed. It was tears of joy. Like, Lord, I thank
Yeah.
you for not letting it rain during the
Yeah.
daytime and this and that and stuff. So, but that's how Mayhem came. Like I said, I had no aspirations of really thoughts of doing anything past that. But here we are
Hmm.
10 years later, and well, it's gonna be 11 years by the time Mayhem 11 happens,
Yeah.
and I'm still doing it.
Oh yeah. Well, something I'm gonna put over, and I kind of got the inspiration from you, so I know how you feel, how you
Right.
felt that first time. Because if you, I think you pretty much know, I run a yearly show now myself.
Really?
I do, I do.
Okay. Where
It's
at?
once a year. I think I talked to you last year about it, or year before last. I can't remember, but it's Quake at the Lake,
I
Tiptonville.
think I do remember you asked me about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for 3 years straight, they have for years and years. I can't remember. Blaze would know because he's a Lake County boy.
Okay.
That's his forte. But they have a annual event, the Reelfoot Arts and Crafts Festival.
Okay.
Note, Blaze was telling me for like almost 3 years straight. He's like, man, I wish we could get a show down there, stuff like that, because it literally draws. It's a 3-day event. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday event. He's like, man, because he said the most that he's known that they've drawn is about 20,000 people from, and that's just not even in the U.S. That's from people outside the country that'll come to
Wow.
this big event. Yeah, it's a small town, but a huge event. And I go, well, yeah, let me see what I can get done. So for 3 years straight, I tried every single person I know,
Mm-hmm.
calling everybody, getting a hold of people, stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm not coming up with anything. Well, a buddy of mine who I used to work with at doing security for my shoot job,
Mm-hmm.
he lives down in Lake County with his dad. Well, his dad's a veteran, and they own his dad runs the American Legion building down there in Tiptonville. And
Right.
I reached out to his dad. Well, his dad was retiring or planning on retiring, and so he was going to let his son kind of take over it a little bit. And so I contacted his son, which, like I said, we had worked together before, so we were close enough with that. And I said, "Hey, bud," I said, your guys' place is like dead in the middle of this festival. Would there be a chance for maybe if I pay you however much money? Because I know booth prices there was like ridiculous, like
Mm-hmm.
$300 for a freaking booth spot. And I go, hey, if I pay you, you think I could come doing wrestling down there? He's like, yeah, I like the idea because he was a wrestling guy, wrestling fan. He goes to, I think Trenton. He went to Trenton for a while, sit there and watch it. And you go, yeah, I don't mind it, stuff like that. He's like, but we have to have a committee meeting, stuff like that, and I'll let you know. So probably not even a week too later, I get a call back. He's like, all right, we did a committee meeting. He said, you got the spot. Now he said it's going to be out back of the place, but we'll give you a wide open area, to do it in. I go, okay, how much do I owe you? He goes, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I go, really? He goes, yeah. He's like, we believe that it'll help us and it'll help y'all at the same time to get
Right.
people, as members. I go,
Right.
okay. I said, I appreciate that. And I said, is there anything at all? He said, nope. He said, it's just the only thing about it is since we're giving it to you for free, the kicker was we couldn't charge ticket
Okay.
prices.
Okay.
We couldn't sell tickets. So we had to run a free show. I
Okay.
said, well, I think we can deal with that. And, with having Blaze Ray on as my booker, he's my head booker.
Right.
He got a hold because his uncle owns the Dairy Queen down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the one of those old style. It's still old style. It's not that Dairy
Yeah, I know
Queen
it's
cylinder.
too.
Yeah, yeah. Still has the
Kind of
old
like the
menu
one in
board
Ripley
up.
almost. When the one in Ripley, don't they got something like that in Ripley?
Not
It's
anymore.
okay. Okay. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking
It's
about though,
still
right?
it transitioned to the chillin' grills thing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so his uncle, somebody who he's more sees as an uncle. I don't know how they're related, but he contacted him and he's like, hey, we're doing this thing. You want to be a sponsor? We got a couple sponsors together, and off we went with that. We just finished up Quake at the Lake 2 this year, and we're looking at Quake at the Lake 3 next year.
All right. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's about in October. It's an
Okay.
outside show too, so I kind of got what you're coming from with. Got to keep an eye on that. that weather report and
Man, oh my goodness. I had thought about maybe going back to the stadium, doing
hmm
Mayhem, and it's like I can't, I'm stressed out enough. And see,
hmm
this is the thing is I don't think I knew you at the time, or I met you a little bit after it. So it was a local weatherman here named Brian Basham, and he was real popular around town because he would do not only would he do the weather, he do like other little fun stuff, on location, and he would doing stuff with the Grizzlies girls. And so I got this idea from where I used to wrestle in Southern Illinois. I can't remember the name of the company. It was AAPW, I think, because
okay.
Golden Boy was booking, and so there was a guy there. He was a newscaster. I don't think he was a weatherman. His name is Kevin Huntsberger. I don't know if you're friends with him on Facebook or not. And
No.
so he ended
I
up
think you're talking
wrestling.
about All American, aren't you?
Yes,
All American Pro Wrestling.
yes,
Yeah,
AA.
we actually have on where it's not visible, we flip it around, but we actually have one of the ring skirts we use for our
Okay,
ring in Dyersburg. Yeah.
okay. So and Huntsberger was actually one of the announcers as well. So he ended up doing a match. So last show we did up there for them, like I said, Golden Boy was a booker, and so he ended up wrestling one of my buddies, one of my old opponents from Windy City Pro Wrestling, Masterpiece Mike Masters,
Okay.
and so he got the crossover. You got people that weren't wrestling fans, but they came to see that match. And
Yeah.
and Huntsberger's not a wrestler like and stuff, but
Yeah.
he wrestled Mike Masters, and it was I didn't watch it because I was getting ready for my match, but I could hear it, and it was so I was
Mhm.
like, okay, it was nothing in wrestling for the most part is original. I said, well, let me borrow that idea.
Yeah.
So I contacted Brian Basham. I think I hit him up on Twitter. I'm like, hey man, so and so, so and so, and he's like, well, I don't know how to wrestle. I said, well, don't worry about it, brother. I said, it'll just be for entertainment. I said, I said, you'll wrestle me, and we just look, as Pat would say, look, guy, and all that. I said, we
Yeah.
just, do it happen. I said, and and I'll make sure you don't get hurt or anything.
hmm
So he ended up. So this is maybe like the week before or the week of. He ended up tearing his knee. He was at
Okay.
my old gym. He was at my old gym because the Grizzlies cheerleaders would come to my old gym and they get in the aerobics room and they practice their dance routines. They had the big mirrors around and stuff. He twisted his knee. They had on the news him getting carted out ambulance, and I was like, "What the deuce?" So now I'm
Yeah.
already stressing about the event. Now this, I'm like, one of my main attractions. I want to say he's on. He might be on the poster. I got to look at the old Mayhem poster. And I'm like, so he was like, brother, he said, he's like, I'm still gonna come. He's like, I can't wrestle. I said, if you can just referee, like yeah, I said, and I made to where he didn't have to get up and down to make the counts ahead and stuff. And so he came, and then this is how cool he is. This is why I tell I know people have different, perceptions of me. Like that. I'm generally a nice guy. I'm very belligerent, but y'all have
Yeah.
not seen this. I've been good for the last 2 hours.
hmm
But I'm easy to work with, I think, as long as you don't come up with no ignorant stuff. I can deal with stupid. I can't deal with ignorant stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, brother, how much, would it, and I ain't got a dime now. I'm just, I'm like, I'm going to make it happen. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen. I said, well, brother, how
Yeah.
much you charge me to come in? He said, no, I'm not going to charge anything. And I was like, I'm not going to, all right. Like, well, I say, are you sure? Like, yeah, okay. And I left it at that. And so he ended up coming. And so then with the stadium, so like I said, the stadium's huge. And so my
Yeah.
boy Mike Warden, when I told you mentioned earlier, so I had him run the locker room, and I was
hmm
up in the announce booth, with like the stadiums like that and stuff.
Yeah.
So then with time for my match, I had all my clothes up there, so I was able to change clothes upstairs. And then when it was time for my match, me and Mike switched, and so but Brian was in there with all the other wrestlers and stuff, and I'm like, man, I hope they don't scare this guy off because you know how we talk
Yeah.
like and stuff, and he was just like it's amazing. He was just having a ball. But then
Yeah.
this is another reason why I almost, crapped a brick that day. So we're about to start the show. So I'm already worried about
Mhm.
whether or not it's going to rain. So I got my laptop about to start the show. Guess what happens?
Hmm.
Laptop screen goes out. All the music is on there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at first it went blank. I'm like, okay, well, let me maybe restart it and pop back up.
Yeah.
Nothing. So we had to starting late, and so now you already know I done blew a gasket, and I'm like, you gotta be bleep 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 bleep,
Mhm.
and I'm like, and lucky for me, most of the music was on YouTube, so I had to, how we
Yeah.
do it, you should rip it, plug the phone in,
Oh
and
yeah.
I never liked doing that, and I'm like, you
Yeah.
gotta be freaking kidding me, and so that's the reason why I didn't do it. I didn't start doing it until a couple of years ago. I started bringing two laptops. I had a second laptop. I had two laptops. The last one, and my chick friend of mine, I gave her my second one. I gotta give me another. What when you start coming in, I stopped because you would bring yours too, right? Well,
Yeah. I
I'm
bring
always
mine.
bringing, yeah. So like, okay, Cody has his, I have mine, and then I got to get me another. This is a little beater. I get the
Yeah.
stuff, and I've always had sound problems. We don't need to get into that. And it is like, if I said that's the worst of my words, the sound problem, I can kind of deal with
Hmm.
that. But for just well, sound problem to a certain degree, like that. And so that's the reason why, I'm always stressed at the shows. Are like, 'cause something almost always happens, like that,
Yeah.
And then the second show that I did, it was at with the building I was in, the big gym that I came to, that you came to when you first
Yeah.
came.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the first show we did there was Holiday Havoc, which was, like I said, 9 months later. And again, me being me inexperienced, they didn't have the microphone cord was maybe 6 feet long. So you had to stand right there by the console. So you couldn't do no in ring talking. I'm like, you gotta, but that was all on me. And I'm like, I should have checked for this. And I'm like, and so my biggest issue out of all the almost 12 shows I've done solo, has always been something with the sound. It's always been something with the sound. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, I said that's why I'm always, wound up. I'm wound up tight. This in my everyday life. I said when it comes to this, I said my money's on the line, my reputation as Pokerface is on the line. I said, and I don't want to look bad. I don't want to look
Yeah.
bad like
Yeah.
that stuff. But then, at the last Mayhem, dude, I was on cloud nine. I'm still probably on cloud
Oh
nine.
yeah.
I was like, man, I said,
Yeah.
I had a feeling how I booked it that it was gonna be more people than Mayhem 9.
Hmm.
I didn't know it was gonna be like that. And I usually think pretty big. I didn't think it was gonna be like that. And I'd love to say, well, yeah, I knew this how how I was doing this. No, I did not know. I knew it was gonna be more, but I didn't know it was gonna be literally
Yeah.
standing room only, no chairs. And then I never imagined
Hmm.
that happened. And then that's the only
Oh
reason I'm
yeah.
doing 11. It's the challenge. I was like literally done with it. I was like,
Yeah. I
I can
know.
go out on a
I could
high
tell.
note, but it's like, well, can I do it twice in a row? Was that a
Yeah.
fluke? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So really that's the only reason I'm doing Mayhem 11. But I,
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
honestly think after this I may be done.
Hmm.
Who knows? I've said that, last 5, 6 years. But it's like but it's not as much of a challenge, and it's time for me to, like, we were talking earlier about my comedy show, and it's like, okay, I need to be challenged by something else. And I don't want to pigeonhole. I don't want to be just, Poker Face, the wrestling promoter. I want to be known as a promoter. I don't want to limit myself. I got plans to do, concerts. Like smaller concerts. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
like form or nothing like that. Maybe a venue that seats a couple hundred people, maybe up to 2,000. I want to do that. I want
Hmm.
to do promote fashion shows. Maybe big fundraisers or something like. I want to do things
Yeah.
like that. Theme parties. You know what I'm saying? And wrestling. I'm not saying I would never do wrestling again. But it's like that would be one of many things that I do, but not just, oh, what do you do? I'm just a wrestling promoter. I don't like that. I just want to be promoter.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that when you think about live events, at least smaller live events, I'm the guy you think of. Or I'm the guy that you're gonna come to. Hey, I heard this guy does good. He has just like, even when I do bands, I'll do like some local bands, same using
Hmm.
the same principles I do for the wrestling. Use
Yeah.
smaller bands and see if I can pack out a building with 500 people, sell all the tickets, and
Hmm.
everybody makes good money. You ain't gonna get rich, but at least
Yeah.
make some good money and hopefully get a better payday than you would singing or performing for another club or another bar or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well, I know as you were just talking about your Hurt Your Feelings comedy show. That one, it kind of come out of the blue for me because there was no like,
Hold on one sec. Somebody's calling me. Hold on one second. Uh, Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
No, that's all
Can you
good.
hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. We still good.
Yeah.
That one kind of come out of the blue for me. I guess it was you didn't you announced it, and then it was like it wasn't too long after you announced it that it was taking place, right?
Right. So I have been talking about that. I don't like, the I'm easily irritated by people,
Yeah.
and I hate people that talk the talk but don't walk the walk.
Mhm.
And like I said, I never wanted to just limit myself to doing just wrestling. So I'm gonna give you a backstory on that. So 2016, we had just got
Yeah.
done. We had did Mayhem that April, so that would have been 4 or 21, like 14, 15, 16. So Mayhem the third.
Okay.
And so then that October, I was going to do like a costume party, and I
Mhm.
had, and like I said, now I think big. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is going to be high end. I was
Mhm.
doing $50 tickets. We're going to have, catered food, this and that and stuff. And at that time, I'm still a super duper introvert. So I didn't have the
Yeah.
connections and the people that I know now. And Joseph Bourne, he still does not let me live that down. And so anyway, I ended up investing. I put like a down payment on the building, which was like 475, and I spent all this
Yeah.
money on advertisements. And I had to end up canceling the uh the party because nobody bought tickets. Everything was based on advanced tickets,
Mhm.
and so I lost like a grand. And so I was like, but like I said, I don't go into anything. Even if I lose money, it's gonna be a calculated loss. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna get it less. I'm gonna get if I don't get nothing out of it, I'm gonna get it less. That's what I tell people. So I'm not afraid of getting out of my comfort zone or anything like that. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do. I said, but I'm gonna try this again. I thought I would probably already have tried the whole theme party again. I haven't. Like I said, we're 8 years removed, and so I was like, and I had thought, and my cousins. I got a couple cousins that do comedy, and they produce comedy shows. So I was talking to one cousin. I'm like, and I was going to produce one. I told my cousin, I said, I tell you what, I said, I'll produce the show. I said, I'll put the money up like that and stuff, and you just make it happen. I just need, business credits for
Yeah.
it. And and about, but not, he got married doing this thing. And me, I see a squirrel get distracted or whatnot and stuff. So then after Mayhem, it's like, do I want to do this? Do I don't want to do this? Then it's like, I don't think I want to do that. And I think at that time I was still kind of not want to do Mayhem like that and stuff. I was like, well, I said, well, let me go ahead and just try my luck on it. I said, when I had talked to Richard Mulliken, who was the announcer at
Yeah.
at the Mayhems,
Yeah.
and I was talking to him about it, and I was like, well, yeah, he was a guy, yeah, yeah. I said, okay. So I ran an ad on Facebook and Instagram. I'm like, okay, I'm seeking comics. So that's
Mhm.
probably what you saw right there. So I ran
Yeah.
that for maybe like a month or two, just advertisements talking about, and I said it's coming soon. I didn't have a date yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I remember that.
I ran the ads saying that and I'm looking for comics, yada yada. 'Cause, everybody contacted me. Well, when is it? I said, well, we're still to be determined. And so I was hanging out one day, and a friend of mine who comes up to the spot, Slider in. What's up to my Slider in people? Slider in
Mhm.
Midtown, that is, not downtown. Slider in Midtown. And so
Okay.
a friend of mine, she runs. She doesn't own. She runs Hernando's Hideaway.
Mhm.
And so when we were having a conversation, I was talking to somebody else about something. And she came up, and I was talking about doing concerts in the future, like
Yeah.
that, And she was like, so for whatever reason, I said, I was like, yeah. I said, now I thought about doing a comedy show too. She said, well, what about Hernando? And I've hung out there, but I've never wanted to do anything in Memphis. I always want to do it in like smaller towns or surrounding towns. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, hold on. This is rude right here. Hold on. This is rude. I called him back. So now everybody wants to call me. And so anyway,
Yeah.
so we did the deal, and so I was constantly talking with Rude. And then he was like, he said it's pretty much like wrestling, less stress, and it was. And so the whole premise for the comedy show is, because everybody's trying to be politically correct and not get canceled and all that jazz. And I was like, I want something where people can just let loose, kind of on along the lines of like what South Park and Family Guy does and Dave Chappelle type comedy. He talks about everybody. So at
Yeah.
first, I was at my bar. So most of my business decisions, this is no lie. and Alan still could attest this. He doesn't drink, but me and him have been in the bar for hours. He's drinking sweet tea. I'm
Mhm.
drinking rum and coke or Jack and Cokes. Most of my
Yeah.
decisions is made. Uh. Oh. Okay. Most of my decisions are made either on the toilet, long drives, or toilet long drives, or at a bar. So anyway, so I'm up there at my spot drinking, and so I was gonna call it F Your Feelings Comedy, what the F stands for. And
Yeah.
so I'm Googling it, and Matt Rife, that was the name of his comedy. I'm like, man, what else could I, come up with along the same lines of that? And so this older guy that I
Yeah.
hang out with, is the older guy that I hang out with, love him to death, Dano. And he was like, well, why don't you call it Hurt Your Feelings Comedy?
Mhm.
Get on there. Nobody's calling that. Boom, the name was
Yeah.
born. I get, so then I had, comics, they message, I told them to submit your, links or videos via messenger, and I'll watch it and like that and stuff. So I had to go through. I didn't have to go through a whole lot of them, but it was enough.
Mhm.
Watching, going through. Some of them were good, some of them were not so good, some of them were okay. So then I
Yeah.
was like, I want to be diverse as possible. I don't want to be all black comics. I don't want to be all white comics. I want, if I could, I want a woman comic. I want a black comic, white comic, Hispanic. I
Yeah.
would love to have had an Asian comic, and so that's how that came about. So then it was just this past November 30th, 2 days
Yeah.
after Thanksgiving, and I drawed Butkus. It was, oh my goodness. But the thing is though, by the fact that I've done the wrestling thing, and then my reputation as Pokerface the wrestler isn't on the line, so I wasn't tripping that much. Of course, I wanted to do well, but it didn't. But the comics, when I tell you they over delivered, dude. When I tell you, just to keep my non belligerence, promise to you like that. But every word, any derogatory words for gay guys, derogatory words for black people, mentally challenged people, you name it, it was said.
Mm.
And a couple of my homegirls who, are bisexual, lesbians, they end up walking out. And so so after the show was over, they all went back to my hangout because a couple of them worked there.
Yeah.
So I went to do this kind of do some kind of damage control, and I told them, I was like, look, I'm not gonna apologize because this is what it was supposed to be in. It was
Mhm.
supposed to be, to make everybody uncomfortable, but not single any. They didn't just single anybody out, but that was, making, gay jokes was kind of their go-to, like that and stuff. And one of them was okay. She was just like, oh, whatever, like that. Say, it is what it is. And I told one of my homegirls was actually I just saw her because before I got on here with you, I was up there talking to her, and I was telling her,
Okay.
I said, well, she said, well, does it have anything to do with you, poker? It was just to come. I said, no. I said, it has everything to do with me. I said, because I'm the boss. And I'm going to be
Mhm.
accountable for this. I said, it was to, mess with everybody, to to offend everybody, but in a fun way. So we, recognize and can talk about each other's differences. Hopefully, I'm not saying that it was meant to change the world, but maybe enlighten a little bit. Laugh at each other's
Yeah.
differences and stereotypes and stuff like that, and everybody go home feeling all warm and fuzzy. When it's all
Oh
over.
yeah.
And I told her, I said, but I can't apologize. I said because I'll be a hypocrite. I said then I had to stand behind my comics. They were only doing, and I didn't specify exactly what to say, but I was like I wanted to be edgy. I want to
Yeah.
be offensive like that and go for it. And it was certain jokes about pedophilia and rape or whatever that she said that that was really got on her skin. Those are the jokes that really got her versus the gay jokes. And like I understand that was actually
Yeah.
one of the stipulations I was going to tell them. I said, no pedophile jokes and no rape jokes, but me being me, I let it slip through the cracks, and they were, and I don't, and again, I don't have any regrets because, it was something very memorable. I had a good time. Everybody made money except for me.
Mm.
I'm always the last to get paid.
Yeah.
But it was, I tell people, I say, I don't even look at a lot of things as a loss. I look at it as a lesson and a setback because when people pay good money, a lot of money to go to college to learn, I learned doing my events. I
Yeah.
have people question, well, why do you do mayhems if you lose money? I said, because it's my form of taking a vacation.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, and I get business lessons, so I'm doing, mayhem. I say it's little. I'm saying for it size wise. So when I get the opportunity, somebody maybe, which I only do my own events, but if somebody came to me, hey, I want you to produce, this live event, that live event. I got my reps in. I know a
Mhm.
whole, I don't care how good you are. You're always gonna make mistakes. But like I
Yeah.
told you, like the whole indie thing, I make my mistakes down here. So when I go up here, my mistakes are far in between. So I was
Mhm.
like, I got a good lesson. It only cost me $2,000. I don't owe any student loans. I don't owe nobody no money. It was my money. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If I lose money, I'm not saying I'm rich, but check it out. I'm not getting evicted. I'm
Yeah.
still gonna have gas in my car. I told you before, look at these double chins. I ain't losing no weight.
Mhm.
And I'm still buying these cigars. I'm still drinking my Jim Beam, my Jack Daniels,
Mhm.
and all is good in the world.
Cool deal. Cool
Well,
deal.
now hold on. Before you forget, you saying you're gonna dip into I don't know if that was the leukemia. You saying you're gonna dip back into the personal stuff a little bit, or was that the question?
I think that was it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Was it?
I told you I'm
Yeah.
an open book.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the next one, the next, because we're on our last 3 topics that I'm wanting to bring up.
Okay.
But, next topic is it's going around. You got your history with WWE. You said in '09. Was the '09 WWE, was that the one with Cedric Entertainer?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Where you come out of limousine, stuff like that?
Mhm. Right.
Okay. Um, with your history with the WWE, what is your opinion with the WWE ID program?
Well,
Of course, with Aaron Roberts, he just
right,
got WWE ID'd.
right. Um, I haven't done that much research on it. Um, from what I mean, I don't want to probably publicly say. I think they keep it on the wraps. I'll tell you
Yeah.
off camera what I heard, what they get paid. But it can hopefully the guys that get it, well, nonetheless, they're real on the radar, so that's a good thing. And hopefully they're wise with the money they do get with
Yeah.
it. And it affords them chances to go to play, especially like around here, and or around anywhere, where you can't, if you had to go do a bigger show on your own dime. Okay, now
Mhm.
you got the extra money. If the company's not gonna pay for it, well, hey, I got this money come from Titan Top. Well, I don't know what they call it now. You know, I got this extra money, to invest in myself, and then hopefully guys will invest in their look as far as physically, proper diet, working out, invest into their gear,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and then just put a little,
Mhm.
if you can, put a little money back, and just and like I said, and hopefully it's long term, and to get some guys.
Yeah.
Look, I really wish it was around when I was doing my thing, but
Mhm.
everything happens for a reason. But I think it could be a good thing as long as which I think the only way that WWE will pull the plug is if they're doing budget cuts. That's the only way.
Mhm.
Like that, like that and stuff. So, hopefully it's long term, and then a lot of guys that and girls. So when I say guys, I mean it as a general term. Ladies, don't cuss me out. But I hope that it's a way to get people who are deserving, who are out there grinding,
Mhm.
who are out there hustling and trying to make their reps. In doing these shows, I hope that they brings them up and bring their skill level up, and hopefully, I would love to see, a lot of, people like say Aaron, I know his family, Big Red, his brother Cordell, his mom Faith.
Mhm.
I would love, turn on,
Yeah.
which I don't watch wrestling on a rare occasion I do. I love to see, you know, him or anybody else that gets it, and I would love to see more guys around here get signed. But like I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, we haven't had a guy that really, we had a couple guys in the area get signed, like Blake Christian, he got
Mhm.
signed. I told you, Kevin Nichols, he had got signed. Um, and but they weren't really put in the spotlight or the main roster, and that's not a knock on
Yeah.
them, by any means, but I would love, for these guys to, just really get their chance to, just to really show to the millions and the millions, to see what they can do.
Yeah.
I'd love for somebody from so and so Tennessee. I would love to hear that at the end of their name, the intro. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
Like they ain't got to be from necessarily from. I say Memphis is a general term, but from around here, Tennessee
Mhm.
boy, getting some kind of notoriety.
Oh, yeah. Yep, yep. I'd really like to see that as well,
Right.
more Mid-South, Mid-South area getting recognized again in the wrestling sense, I guess you can
Right.
say.
Yep.
Well, Poke, the next topic we have, we kind of spoke about it a little bit before we went live here. Somebody, I haven't, nobody seems to know who's over it or anything like that, but somebody has decided to on Facebook that they were going to start up a Mid South Wrestling Awards.
Right.
I have my opinion on it, and it's kind of like what you said before. My opinion is stuff like that. It just more or less keeps pitting these companies against each other.
Hmm.
Because God, honestly, whenever people are going in the comment section nominating, who the person is for each company.
Right. Right.
Especially, Pro Wrestling Mid South has a few nominations in there. I'm not gonna lie. I went on there and voted and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, why keep pitting these companies against each other like this?
Well, this is my thing about this whole award thing,
Yeah.
and I've honestly said this about the Oscars,
Hmm.
about the Emmys. Have you? Okay, you ever seen the movie Goodfellas?
Yes. Yes. So,
Okay.
sort of, kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I know you know this line, one of the most famous quotes of the whole movie. If you pay me. Remember that line? Henry Hill
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Whether it's Oscars, Emmys, Tonys,
Hmm.
Grammys, Memphis Wrestling Awards, and it's not a knock on them if they having fun with it, whatever. This is my thing.
Yeah.
Years ago, they had something like that here, and when I was
Hmm.
active, and I
Yeah.
think we is not about nature one, and this is me being me. I didn't give a farfig Nugan about it
Hmm.
because if it ain't putting money in my pocket, get me
Yeah.
on WWE's radar. You know what I'm saying? Give me some, some notable TV time. It don't mean buckets to me.
Hmm.
Like seriously, and I get the younger guys might get, kind of worked up about it again. But what is it if you win, other than you flaunting on Facebook? What is it gonna get you? Nothing.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned earlier, be like, I wasn't nominated anything. This is the thing. Okay, I'm gonna really be Pokerface here now. Ain't none of these folks in my league. If we want me to be honest with it. So I mean, I looked and I was like, okay, I was out of curiosity, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't care
Hmm.
because whether I'm nominated or not, you see what I did last Mayhem. I know
Yeah.
what I did to Mayhem 5. Yeah, did my crowd dip a couple years? Yes. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But it would have made a difference if I was Book of the Year, Annual Show of the Year, Ball Guy of the Year. It won't matter because the thing is, as long as I know what I can do, and as long as my crew is happy, that I mean, and it has nothing to do with he just saying that because he wasn't on it. I don't care. Like
Hmm.
seriously, I don't nothing like that. I first saw my in my news feed. I'm like, okay, this is who's doing this, and then I start seeing people share it, and then I see people
Yeah.
like, why wasn't somebody like that and stuff, and like you say, who's doing the nominations like it. I don't care because if okay, say I won promoter year because of Mayhem, what was it, like 10? I'd lose count.
Yeah.
What am I getting out of it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Those 400 plus people at last Mayhem, that's all I needed.
Hmm.
That's all I needed. When I broke even, like now, if I had done that and I didn't have all those wrestlers, I'd have made some money that night. But that's neither here nor there. But long as I know I can draw on my own merit, I've never been a person in life or in business. I never need a person to pat me on my back, slap me on my butt. Good job, Poker. I'm self motivated.
Hmm.
Now I have people, matter of fact, the two guys that just called me. My god brother, Tony Wilson, he does all my posters,
Hmm.
and Rudy. Long as they give me my thumbs up, and
Yeah.
even my crew, like my champion, and another guy from St. Louis. When I was talking about the comedy show, this wasn't even wrestling related, and they was like, "Man, my champion, Demarius Jones." He's like, "Man," he said, "Poke, you know one thing?" He said, "You ain't one of the guys that just talk about it." He said, "You actually do it." That to me, that means more than any award that anybody can give me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I, through all my craziness, my events, when I was in RCW, when I was doing my military, my Pokerface events stuff. If people go home and they have a feel good moment, yeah, look past all the craziness, all the cussing and stuff. But I want them to say, if they appreciate me, like this guy, he's a butthole, but you know what, this dude works hard for me. He
Yeah.
makes sure I could have, I would bet my last dollar that anybody that wrestled on the last Mayhem, they was like, wow, we got a crowd out here. We got a chance to
Yeah.
make some money. We got a chance to sell some merchandise. I got I got hundreds of people out here that probably didn't know who I was when I walked out, but they knew who I was leaving out. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Always feels good to work in front of a huge crowd. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so if the people I bring in, if they're satisfied and they're happy and they feel if they didn't think I did a good job, they wouldn't keep coming back.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, and like I said, I'm not saying that guys shouldn't get upset because I'm thinking from another mindset now. But even
Mhm.
years ago when they were doing like I think Coach BT was doing something like that. He did his own thing, and not to knock what he was doing. I didn't give it. I didn't care. It is like, again, it's like, because it took me, this is where, with a lot of trainers, they miss out on training people. Don't just train them what's going on in the ring. Tell them what this is really about. It's about putting butts in seats.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about putting butts in seats. And if winning any award, I would say the same thing. Well, it might be a little different WWE if they're doing the slammers because I'm getting TV time. But that's what I said. I'm getting
Yeah.
TV time out of it. But other than that, if I'm not getting a check behind it,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Then I don't care.
Yeah.
F you, pay me.
Hmm.
That's how I look at things. And it's not like, okay, I'm just money driven. I'm success driven.
Hmm.
Sometimes money is part of success. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I'm still riding on cloud nine for Mayhem, and that was what 8 months ago.
Hmm.
I'm still riding on it now. I can't rest on my laurels because it's like, okay, I'm on as good as my last show. Okay, can I duplicate that or even more in Mayhem 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm riding that wave, but it's like, okay, I can't sit there and say, well, hey, we had now I can use that to get sponsors for the next one. So that I have to kind of rest on those laurels to get but but money's tied up in it. But other than that, it's like, man, I said no awards, no. I've had people really like put me over because of the work I do for Mayhem, and it's fine. It's appreciated, but not necessary. Because as long as
Hmm.
I know I got me and my crew knows I do good work, and the sponsors I have, they know, hey, this guy right here, he's a man of his word. He has integrity. He doesn't double talk me. He doesn't fast talk. He doesn't talk out of both sides of his neck or face, or however it goes, like that and stuff. As long as they're happy, that's all I need. I don't need that. I would love to be seriously just behind it. Mayhem. I would love to not do anything but count the money and co-pilot with you without having my face out there. But
Yeah.
it has, and I was gonna do that. And Jason the Brain, that's my boy. Shout out to Jason Wells.
Hmm.
He's the one. The only reason I'm still on Mayhem because I was gonna pull myself off, but I was like one year. Matter of fact, it was a year. 1 year, your sister had ran merchandise for me.
Yeah.
I made $205, which might not sound like a lot, but $205 I didn't have. And mind you, I
Hmm.
make my own merchandise, so my profit margin is very high. And
Yeah.
and Jason the Brain was like, well, if you take yourself off, you're gonna cut yourself out of revenue. So why would you do that? That's why I'm on every year. Now I try to, whenever possible, drop myself off, but due to injuries, that's why I've been in the main event over the, except for, the other years with, Alan Stevens like that. That's the only reason I was
Yeah.
there because of injuries.
Hmm.
But now, little by little, I'm trying to drop myself off. And now I still probably, I do here and there like getting in the ring. So it's not like, oh, I just hate getting in the ring. No, I just don't have the desire to do it on a regular basis. I don't desire to do it weekly, monthly. I make a deal with quarterly, and that's still asking a lot. I'm good with twice a year.
Yeah.
But I don't need this like it's a slap on the butt, the high fives, poke your good job, or here's an award for having the best independent show in the Memphis. I don't care about that.
Hmm.
As long as my guys are getting paid, like with the comedy show, I didn't make a dime. But guess what? They want to do business with me again. I saw the
Yeah.
chick today at the comedy show, like, we need to do another one.
Yeah.
I made sure that they made money. I made sure everybody around me was happy. I didn't make any
Hmm.
money, but guess what? I'm not in the poorhouse. I'm not, I'm not living in Beverly Hills either. Like that
Hmm.
stuff, I'm not in the poorhouse, and I'm good. I go into anything
Yeah.
like, okay, worst case scenario, can I lose this and not be hurt financially? If the answer is yes, then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then I'm not gonna do
Hmm. Oh
it.
yeah. And I was before all this, before I started up this podcast, I was talking to Blaze Ray, and I know there's I'm gonna have guests, and then whether it's like let's just say your opinions or my opinion
Mhm,
about certain stuff, whether it's controversial or not. If I get heat from stuff that I say or any of my guests say, I'll tell people my inbox is wide open. If you got a problem with anything that me or like you said, you're the boss on your
mhm.
certain stuff. I'm the last person to say, even with like I said, Blaze Ray. I told him, help me out, get some guests. But if he shoots me a guest that I don't like, I'm gonna tell him straight up, I don't want that guest. So I'm the last word on it.
Right,
But I gotta be the boss for it. And my
right.
last word on that whole Mid South Wrestling Wars thing is, it doesn't help any particular company. B, they didn't right off the bat say what you got if you did win any of the categories. Now they just recently did. It's like you get a graphic made and you get to submit like a 90-second video of you putting over whatever the heck you want to put over. And the big thing about it is they're like, oh yeah, we'll post it on our 600 follower Facebook page. Okay, okay, so not calling anybody else, but I talked to somebody else about that. They're like, I can go on my 2,000 friends Facebook page
Right.
and do it.
That's real. I mean,
Yeah,
and the thing is that don't get me wrong, I don't knock because I've had this business ideas period, whether it's wrestling or other
yeah,
industries. Someone might come to me either for advice or they just
mhm,
talking. I never ran on anybody's parade. Now, I might say
yeah,
internally to myself, that's dumb, that's stupid, like and stuff. But I don't, I mean, for whoever's over that, hey, more power to you. You definitely get some attention. But when
oh
you
yeah,
do like with the other awards, that I was talking about earlier, that we won. I think it was Tag Team of the Year, something like that. Me and Rude. And the thing is, though, most of the people that are voting are the wrestlers.
yeah.
And now if the winning team,
Wrestlers, whether it be not to cut you off, but wrestlers, their mamas, their daddies, their
yes, they're
brothers, their
all
sisters,
connected.
people who's probably not even watched them wrestle before, but just because they shared it on their Facebook page, said,
Yeah,
"Hey, go vote for me."
and then the people with that's voting on that, or
Mhm.
they're not, for the most part, they're probably not my customers. They're not going to come to Mayhem. So
Yeah.
what do I care? I mean, and that
Mhm.
sounds like a butthole, and it is what it is. Like and stuff I like, but I don't. They're not buying any. You see
Yeah.
this. Look, oh, this is cool. You can look at this. So this is like the font for Stranger
Stranger
Things.
Things. Yeah.
Yeah, I get stuff. But I'll
Yeah.
put
I
stuff
saw
like
that
that on
design.
Facebook.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Right. And
I like it.
it's like, but I'll put that on Facebook, and I'll like, no, and I just do that. Honestly, a lot of stuff that you see me do on Facebook, like when I do the lives, people like, one while when that one live, was a new thing. Man, every time you on live, I said, you know why I do it? I said it's practice. I said, so when I get on TV for my events, and I had to go I was going one while I was going on Channel 24, then I would go on TV5. So when I get on there, I don't sound like a bumbling idiot. Not only am I representing my company, Pokerface events, I'm representing the wrestling community, period. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I thought wrestling was just dumb. This guy talks, very intelligent. You know what I'm saying? And then when I do stuff about, hey, which shirt do y'all think I like? Which what like I don't know if I put this watch up, but I'll put I'll put watches. What do y'all think about this watch? It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
market research, and it's like, okay, so when I do business advertising, what do they react to the most? A lot of
Mhm.
times when I ask questions, they have an option. They used to have an option on Facebook where you can do polls. That you can do it from your business account. You can't do it on your personal account. That's all market research. Me, I'm a marketing advertising
Yeah.
dude. I guess so. I said, "Oh, this is practice." Like, trust me, if I could get advertise any cheaper other than social media, I wouldn't be on Facebook. I 80% of me hates Facebook. 20% I like it, being entertained by other people's stupidity.
Mhm.
People whine and they hate this wrestling company. Oh, I don't like pro. I'm just using this for example. I don't like pro wrestling Mid South. Okay, so you feel the need to go on Facebook and say, well, just go to Greg Anthony and say, hey man, I got a problem, instead of putting it on Facebook. I've had problems
Yeah.
with companies before that I didn't like for whatever reason, and I just didn't go back. I didn't have to post. I didn't have to do vague posts. I didn't know what I'm saying. If it was a big, that bigger issue that needs to be discussed, then I'm hit. If I can't talk to a person in face to face, then I'm going to send them a message, send them a text, call them up.
Yeah.
I'm like you. If somebody have a problem, hey, my inbox is open. I tell
Yeah.
people, I say, I'm very easy to reach. I'm very now. Having said that, make sure you check your tone when you come to me.
Hmm.
When you catch me on one of them
Yeah.
days, you seem like I said, we talked about earlier.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what level I can take it to. Not saying that
Yeah.
I like violence, but it could be an option as well.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I don't. I can. But if somebody comes to me, and I know even with like because I've over the years with Mayhem, I've heard a lot of guys come to me and want to get on the show, and everybody can't work for me because number one, I could be on bad terms with the promoter. I may not
Hmm.
like them, but if I hear say it's you, and no,
Yeah.
I'll say me and Golden Boy hate each other. I was like, I can't stand that bastard. Oh, that was the first one. All right, so
Yeah.
um, so and like and but then I hear that you're no showing him. You know what I'm saying? No show, no call. You constantly doing it over and over again. I don't care how much I hate him, but I look at how you do business elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hire you.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm still gonna have a level of respect for that promoter by the fact that he's a promoter. I get it still like, okay, if you're not dependable over here, how do I know you're not gonna be dependable with me? And
Yeah.
I'm stressed enough as it is. I don't want to have that lingering in the back of my mind. So I'd rather not use you.
Yeah. 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 I
You know what I'm
understand.
saying? But like I said,
Yeah.
back to the whole award thing. Like I said, if it's important to the people who did the poll, important to the people who've been nominated, I'm
Hmm.
not gonna knock it. But I want people
Yeah.
to really put it in perspective. What are you getting out of it? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It just, Facebook is free advertising for for
Hmm.
anything. Just post. You see
Oh yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the
Social
BS
media is a
about
big thing now.
say again now.
Social media is a big
Yeah,
advertising
I
platform
use
now.
that's dude. That's all I study, research, and I mean this, and I'm not exaggerating. Daily, it's social media, well, advertising in general, and
Mhm.
social media in particular. Advertising. And I'm constantly watching. If you post something, I'm like, okay, what kind of post is it? Is he asking questions? Is it a picture? Is it video? Is he asking for opinion? Then I'm looking at how many comments, how many likes. I'm looking at all that. So then when I do ads, I gotta, based on what you post, anybody else posts, then I try to do my ads based on the information that I've gathered from that. I'm constant on YouTube because Facebook ads algorithm is constantly changing, so I had to stay up to date with that. What worked for me on Mayhem 10, advertising may not work on Mayhem 11. So I got to stay on
Mhm.
top of that
Yeah.
because I'm the booker, I'm the promoter, I'm the wrestler, I'm the sales manager. You know what I'm saying? I'm the media buyer, I'm the video
Mhm.
editor, I'm the producer, I'm all that. So I got to stay on top of everything. That's why I tell
Yeah.
people ask me before, like, why does you only do one event a year? I like, if you know how much work I put into this, if I try to do it, I could probably do it twice a year. But if I
Mhm.
did any more frequent, dude, I'd lose my mind. I'd
Yeah.
lose my mind. I like, so why put myself through that?
Mhm.
Not saying it could never happen, but it had to be, all the stars and the planets and the ducks, everything got to be perfectly lined for me to even
Yeah.
consider it. But it's too much, and then the crop of guys are not as dependable. And I know it's gonna make me sound like well back in my day, but they're not as dependable as the guys from my generation of wrestling.
Mhm.
For we used to have ring we'll wrestle, and like now guys, even my comedy show, one of the guys I kind of had a bad feeling about him anyway. He calls me. The call time was 6:30. This guy messages me, didn't call me. I gave everybody my number. He messaged me at 6:30 time. He's supposed to have been there. Show starts at 7. Probably not gonna make it.
Hmm.
So dealing with stuff like that, I had to deal with that in Ripley. One night we
Oh,
were
yeah.
there. We had 4 callings.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that on a regular. Once a year is enough. I mean, because I've had over the last 2 mayhems, I've had headaches. People had booked. And if you watch close, you be like, okay, so and so's booked, and then all of a sudden, well, that person's not on the poster. Like that. I don't go on Facebook. I don't throw shade.
Mhm.
I just keep it moving. I'm like, oh, it's cost of doing business. Everything's not gonna go all hunky dory. Keep it
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
And whenever I replaced it, had to replace somebody, it was always done like I had to replace somebody last year. Got on the phone, Smitty, Lance Smith, God rest his
Mhm.
soul. I
Oh,
called
yeah.
him. Within minutes, he took the place.
Yeah.
He took the place, like that and stuff. So, but anyway, but like I said, I don't want to just really just, to pee all over the whole war thing. But
Yeah.
it's like, guys, just be realistic about it. Other than
Yeah.
somebody giving you a gold star for good behavior in school, what do you get? What are you getting out of it? Is it going
Yeah.
to get you more bookings, more money,
Mhm.
more TV time? You know?
Yeah, you gotta think about it like that. And like I said, it's not me crapping on their fun. I know it's for
No, I
fun.
get what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
in line with me. Like, okay, but you're asking the same question.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you getting out of it?
Yeah. What are you getting? Yeah. 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 I'm glad that they're doing it. I mean, if they're having fun with it, but
Right.
by all
I mean,
means,
it's
have fun
definitely
with it.
got people talking. So,
Yeah.
there's that. So I can, so nothing else. Hey, I can't knock it, but like I said,
Yeah.
most of the guys, like I said, when they're doing the awards years ago, it was most of the boys voting. And then
Mhm.
if they lose, then the boys are losing their minds.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, and this is how I had to learn how to deal. I had to talk with Johnny Dotson, like that and stuff. And I know
Mhm.
Johnny rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but that's my boy.
Yeah.
And he was having some issues with somebody,
Mm.
a local promoter. It's not hard to figure who that is. And I told Johnny, and I have obviously had this conversation with him, and I had a conversation with another promoter. I said, "You have an app on your phone for your bank account?" Like, yep. I said, "The next time you open it up," I said, "the person you mad at ain't making no withdrawals or deposits. They don't mean jack."
Mhm.
And that's how I deal with things like that and stuff. I'm not saying that you're not gonna get a little heated under the collar or anything like that and stuff. But at the end of the day, you don't have to see these people.
Yeah.
Longer than not taking money. Now, if they affecting your pockets, then a conversation needs to be had.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's actual words or it's a physical conversation. It need to be had. But other than that, if ain't
Mhm.
nobody putting money in my pocket, taking money out of it, no, hey, and I ain't got to deal with
Yeah.
you. I ain't got to deal with it with the water. If it ain't,
Yeah.
if you losing, don't put any money in your pocket or taking no money out of it. Let it go, because guess what?
Yeah.
Nobody. After a week or two, whoever won, whoever lost, nobody's probably gonna remember it.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. Yep. Well, Poke, we're on the last and final topic right now,
okay.
and it's just basically, tell the people what the future of Pokerface events is looking like, and if you got anything you want to put over, or got anything
Mm,
planned or scheduled, or anything like that. I know we talked about Millington Mayhem 11 and the Hurt Your
mm,
Feelings comedy show. So
right.
just kind of tell the people what the future of Pokerface events is looking like.
Well, the plan is, especially in 2025 and years following, the Lord's will.
Yeah.
I want to grow as a business. Like I said, not just pigeonhole myself as just a wrestling promoter, but just be a promoter that does good live,
Hmm.
small to medium sized events. I want to, spread my wings a little bit. Like we were talking about the comedy show. If I did another comedy show, it would probably be, as of now. A lot of it rides on, I guess, how Mayhem 11 goes too
Yeah.
financially. So it would may happen maybe late summer, early fall, something like that. I want to do, and I want to expand my business, helping people, not, it's not even necessarily wrestling related, but but it can include it, people who have small businesses, because I told
Hmm.
you, I'm a marketing and advertising guy, help them grow their businesses, help them grow, but I got to expand, I still got a lot to learn, but I could, help people a lot with the mistakes that I've made.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people, again, people question, well, if you keep losing money, like I'm gaining knowledge through this. Yeah, I'm losing over here, but I'm gaining right here.
Hmm.
And then another thing, I have commitment issues, and like, that's why I don't
Yeah.
date, have a girlfriend, and I've been, committed to this. With I started Pokerface event. Well, the first event was in 2014, but I started officially in 2013. So I've been hanging on this for like 11 years. And be able to gain knowledge to help businesses grow, and of course me making some money along the way. And like I said, to be the go-to guy, for advice when it comes to doing events, or when you see my name on an event, even if it's not your cup of tea, but if you see Poker Face events, like, okay, well, hey, that guy does, pretty good. Hey,
Yeah.
I might want to, attend this, and I'm
Mhm.
expanding my network. I hang out at a lot of bars, and people think I just hang out there just to get drunk. I absolutely do not, because I meet so many different people up there from different
Yeah.
industries that are kind of related to what I do, or what
Mhm.
I do, or what I'm going to do. People that work in the liquor industry. Where for like one guy, he's like a rep of some I don't know if it's a liquor company or distributor or something like that. People from Budweiser, I run to them. I got people, I mean, different walks of life. So I got my own community, my own network, and I'm still trying to expand it. And then doing events, and I just came to this conclusion leading up to the comedy show. It's a great way for me to network, meet people. Like,
Yeah.
hey, the comedy show or whatever I do, like, hey, go to this business I want to do something with in the future. Like, hey, I got this comedy show. Hey, once give me your name, I'll put you on my list. They come,
Mhm.
hobnob, rub your boy. Hey, this is what I do. Now I didn't do that for hurt your feelings, but I like, yeah, out of
Yeah.
that show. But that's why I didn't seek any sponsors on that. I said, man, these
Mhm.
people will pull the plug in a minute. So that's why if I use my own money, you can't tell me what to do. So that's the
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
I feel like the wrestling, if I do theme parties, I do like, the fashion shows, I do the concerts, so I've built, and then with each event, I'm trying to, meet different people, so it makes it, not easy, but easier for me to expand, what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
okay, if I need a caterer, hey, boom, I know who to call. I need security,
Mhm.
boom, I know who to call. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
I need a lighting person, I mean, I know somebody, but I know somebody that knows somebody that can do it.
Mhm.
So I'm building my network, and honestly, this all happened because of COVID. Prior to COVID, I go to my little spot to hang out, sliding in Midtown once again,
Mhm.
and I'd go up there. The only people I talk to would be the people who work there, and that was like little chit chat. How you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? Like that and stuff. And I'd sit in the corner, get my phone, smoke a cigar, wouldn't talk to everybody. Then when COVID happened, they closed down all the bars. And then when they started opening back up, they had limited capacity, and then so some of the familiar faces up there, when, either I had to wait in line and wait for a table, or I could come sit with them, they wait me in. Or if I was sitting there and they were in line, I weigh them in. And then when everything opened back up, now these people are my friends, so then now I'm talking more. Like I said, I started coming out
Yeah.
myself slowly, hanging out with Rude, and now I'm more personable. I'm personable if you know me. If I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
you, I'm not the kind of person when I go out. Me and my buddy were talking about it earlier brunch. When I go out, I'm not the person that strikes up conversation. I'm not always out meeting different people. Now, it's easier for me to talk to people. But like I went to a bar yesterday, I hadn't been to in a while. I used to go to all the time, and I was sitting there, on my phone. They had some game on, and then I ended up talking to the guys at the counter. So it's easier for me to do it, And then one thing I did learn was I have to use being poker face to my advantage, because you don't know how many conversations have been started. It was I
Mhm.
never walk up, hey, I'm poker face. Now this is only in a business setting. I'll do that.
Yeah.
But like if I want to open doors, like and then they'll or they see my card poker face, we're like, oh yeah, that's my wrestling name. That's all it takes. Like WWE wrestling, like yeah. But sir, so and
Yeah.
it always opens doors like that. So I was like, okay, well I need to pimp this out then. I need to get
Mhm.
something out of this. Okay, just because I ain't in the ring don't mean poker face can't move mountains or open doors, like that. And before we get off here, just one thing. I was with somebody contacted me the other day, and his friend is about to
Okay.
start wrestling, and he was like,
Mhm.
is there any advice that I can, that I would want to give him? I was like, I told him, I said, do this. I said, have your BS meter radar on high alert.
Mhm.
I said, this is the age of information, so don't let anybody see your pipe dream and say that they can do this and that. They can make all these opportunities happen for you, which it could
Yeah.
be true to a certain extent. But now it's so much easier to get booked. You know what I'm saying? To get seen. You know what I'm saying? When last appearance I made in WWE, I did that on my own.
Yeah.
I did that on my own. I got in their system. I got my file started. They called me. Not saying I'm a big star, but in the area, this local guy, hey, can you come? I did that on my own. So nobody can ever, this, and I'm really like this in business. I've had people who have given me advice, people who have helped me in some ways, but nobody can honestly sit and say, well, if it wasn't for me, Poker Face events wouldn't be this. No, I owe it to me. Well, I owe it to God first, then I owe it to me, because no matter what advice somebody gives me, it's up to me to pull the trigger. It's up to me to use it. Do I use all of it? Do I use a portion of it? You know what I'm saying? I might ask advice from 10 people, and I'll take little nuggets from each person and ball it up into one action, and I make it work. And so, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's one thing I'll tell you guys out here wrestling like that and stuff. Yes, listen to more experienced people, but at the same time, do your due diligence. You know what I'm saying? Learn as much as you can, close your mouth, open your ears, learn as much as you can, but don't depend on one person. And this ain't a shot at no particular company, no particular person. This is anything. You start opening doors, making moves, start talking to people. Networking is essential to be successful in any business. I'm still learning. I ain't got it down pat yet, but I'm working on it. Networking, meet people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Talk to people. Be open minded, be willing to wear different hats. Kevin Bless, Marco Moore, he got on my radar because Reno Diamond is at the Havoc show. He's like, hey, this guy want to train people, BS him around like that. He's a good kid. Yada. I said, well, tell him to come to the show. Can't promise to pay him because I had on my payroll, at the max. And he ended up working the door, ended up working concession that night. He's on my radar. He wrestles for me now. He got on my radar. And then even when he didn't wrestle, he was doing other jobs, other responsibilities. And by the other stuff that he did, by the fact that he was willing to do stuff, he always has a job with me. And by the extra jobs he does, he probably gets paid probably just as much as the top wrestler, or probably more, because he wears so many different hats.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Pope, we're coming. We're gonna close this out.
Okay.
We added an extra hour onto this, but I'm cool with it. As long as you're okay with it, you're cool with it.
Good,
I'm
baby.
cool with it.
I'm good.
Well, like I said, I really appreciate you being a guest on the podcast. Hopefully, maybe we can get you on again for another future later on down the line.
Oh, always, baby. Just let me know what's up.
Do a part 2. Like I said, we'll be in contact. We don't talk as much as I'd like, but I know you're a busy man.
And you're a married man now. You're domesticated.
I know, right? Yeah. I got my shoot job I got to worry about. Got wrestling on the weekends, pro wrestling Mid South, and they say got the married life I got to worry about. So
right. Yeah. So tell your wife I said hello. I know. You didn't bring her to the last Mayhem, did you?
Not the last one, but I brought her one.
Okay. Have I met her?
Yeah.
Okay. Then.
It was a brief. It was a little brief something.
Okay.
It was a little brief
I
something.
said hi and congratulations again.
Well, we really appreciate it, and I will definitely let her know. She's in the other room right now.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
All right, but all right then, brother. I'm gonna take you off the screen now. Like I said, I'll see you at Millington Mayhem 11.
Yeah,
I'll be doing your audio thing.
All right, and thank you for having me on, brother.
No problem at all. We'll be in contact. See you later, brother.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. We appreciate the one and only Pokerface for being on here with us. Like I said, maybe we'll get him on for a part 2 later on. We went a little over. We went an hour over, but I believe it was a great episode. We covered a lot of topics on this episode. Don't forget, next Sunday, 2 p.m., Mid-South Wrestling Center podcast, we will have Mr. Charisma, Alvin Minnick. Alvin, he has been in the business very, very long time. I think he has a 40-year career span. So that's going to be a great episode. We hope everybody can tune in live, whether it be on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Hope everybody has a great rest of their evening. And don't forget to check us out next Sunday at 2 p.m.